Hey you, beautiful, lovely listener. Just want to give you a heads up. On this week's episode, CB, Alyssa, and I talk about our shared passion for anime video games. While they certainly outclass me when it comes to weeaboo knowledge, it's a great conversation nonetheless. In the news, we discuss Xbox streaming getting a major and significant upgrade, the bizarre Blue Box Studios situation involving Hideo Kojima, criminal mastermind himself, and Dead Space seems all but poised for its comeback debut. New games discussed include Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance, Scarlet Nexus, which you should definitely play, Tender Creature Comforts, and 6 other games. This is the Gaming Outsider. Greetings, programs, and welcome to episode 352 of the Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community. It's Monday, June 27th, and I am your host, Zack Parkerson, doing my best Scott Clark impression. And joining me this week are my friends Chris Behrensmeyer.
Hi, the gaming outsider side of the podcast is here.
Right, yes. I know everybody knows us as Scott Clark and the Gaming Outsider, but this week it's just the Gaming Outsider. Sorry to report. But we do have Alyssa White with us as well.
Hi, guys. I finally get to be with CB on a podcast.
Yay!
Well, we did the E3. Heart. And I'm going to be better this episode, guys. I promise you.
I heard you were legendary.
Aw, thank you, Zack.
You're welcome.
She is pretty awesome.
Guys.
How we got? Well, we like you. It's not
I like you too.
a crime.
No.
How are you guys feeling in a Scott Clarkless world? I think he's off gallivanting in some vacation tropical island or something. I don't know. It's hard to pay attention to him.
I mean, I'm doing okay. It's been a long week. I'm ready for my 5 days off coming up.
I do feel a little bit of an absence, but, it's okay.
I can't believe CB's getting 5 days off.
Every third week I get 5 days off in a row.
Wow. Is that when you sell
the
stuff to get
joy
money
of
to
my
buy
work.
1,900 video games every week? Is that what happens?
No, it's just the way my schedule works. Every third week I get 5 days off in a row. So it's pretty glorious. I'm not gonna lie.
That's pretty good, man.
It
falls during my birthday too. So it's gonna make me even happier.
Your birthday's coming up? When's your birthday? What's the date?
In 3 days.
I guess if you're comfortable saying, I suppose. Sorry,
It is June 30th. I was born in almost the exact middle of the year.
I should remember, because that's a month before mine.
Wow.
Wow.
I'll have to remember to send you happy birthdays. It's gonna be a struggle.
It's okay. I forget it's my birthday sometimes, so.
I'm starting to.
Yeah. They mean less, right? You just get to a certain age, don't mean
every
anything
year,
anymore.
it's just a little more depressing.
I mean, after 30, it's legitimately just like, hey, it's a day. Woohoo.
I'm so happy I have stuff to look forward to, CB. Thank you.
Hey, man, I you know me, I don't sugarcoat it.
Yeah. Well, that's true. But hey, we've all probably been coping with our loss of Scott Clark by playing some video games. So what have we been catching up on, Alyssa? Let's start with you.
I have been playing Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. I believe I'm halfway through it. And I will admit, when I first started it, wasn't crazy about it. Because I'd really only played the original Ratchet & Clank game. And I started off and I did this factory side quest, and the platforming is super hard. I suck at platforming. I'm like, I'm not gonna like this game. But I powered through, and it's just completely won me over. The visuals are outstanding. I love the weapons, Ratchet & Clank, and the new character Rivet, and other stuff I don't want to reveal because potential spoilers are charming. I'm having fun with it now. So I'm glad I pushed through. I'm glad I didn't just set it aside after that one side mission.
Are you in love with Rivet the way the internet is?
Oh yeah, I love her. Jennifer Hale, I can't even tell it's her. She is so talented.
Yeah,
Rivet's adorable.
I can't even tell Fem Shep and Bastila already sound so different,
She's the queen.
What's good? So you haven't played since the 2002 Ratchet and Clank?
Well, I played it on the PS3, they came out with a remastered collection of, I think, the first 3 games on it.
Right.
And I was just like, I don't like this.
Huh. Interesting. I definitely skipped a few, but I was surprised you didn't play the reboot. I feel like everyone played the reboot.
Yeah,
they did.
I haven't played it, but I probably will after this, and probably won't make much sense, but, I mean, I have to go backwards, but...
Well, I don't think the 2016 game had a very, thorough plot anyway, so I think you're going to be okay.
Okay, cool.
Well, what about you, CB? What have you been playing?
I'm still playing everybody's favorite poop game, The Binding of Isaac.
Oh, brother.
It's addicting, man, and it works so well on a Switch that I've pretty much just been.
Total cliche, but that does seem like a game that's perfect for the Switch.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, and it is the perfect game to just pick up. Like, oh, I got 10, 15 minutes. I can get a run in.
Right, and then 3 hours later.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
That happened to me the other night. I was playing at like 9 o'clock. I was like, oh yeah, I'll play a couple rounds before I go to bed, and it wound up being midnight.
It's also a great game to play if you want to feel depressed. Your mom just is brutal.
I have more fun just like, you know what, I'm going to take her down. Screw her.
Whoa.
Take that, Mom.
Someone doesn't have mommy issues around here.
I love my mom, man.
I love mine too.
Wow, screw you guys. Rub it in, why don't you?
Aw, Zack.
Not trying, man. You know what? I if you were here, bro, I'd give you a hug. I'll be your mom.
Thanks. So. Whoa, mommy. I'll call you mommy. Boy, go off the rails as soon as Scott's gone. Are the RNG gods still blessing you with total item domination in that game?
I have surpassed Scott in, like, he actually sent me a screenshot of his, and I'm well above him for the amount of items, and I found out why. Apparently, the entire time I've been playing the game on hard.
Oh, and that increases the drop rate?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, that's cool.
So he sent me a screenshot, and it was like 282, I think, and I'm over 300 items now.
That feels like it would drive him crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really does. I mean, I remember the day I passed him in achievement score, and it really bothered him for a good solid month.
I love CB's face right now. You guys can't see it, but he's like smiling very mischievously, like, yeah.
Yeah, he could not be prouder of himself.
I am the Loki to Scott's Thor. Just like, knife in the back, bro.
Knife in the back.
Look, I like Scott. I don't know. He's no Thor, though, I gotta tell you. Oh, I mean, I'll be mean.
Now that he cut his hair off, yes, he is definitely no Thor.
Yeah. Probably tore all his hair out.
Scott episode?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it's a shame if this is your first episode listening to Gaming Outsider. We don't normally pick on co-hosts that aren't here, yeah.
No, we don't.
But
what about you, Zach? What have you been playing?
I'm back. I'm on my Nier Automata nonsense. It's just it just plays so well. And I'm doing the side quests again, which I haven't done since like my first playthrough in 2017, and they're so great. They really build out the world and stuff. I mean, I don't really have a lot to. It's one of my favorite games ever, so I feel like I don't have a lot to say, other than it is. It's nice playing them back to back with the Replicant remaster, because just Automata just plays so much better. As much as I love Replicant to death, it's just you can hop around on buildings and a lot of nooks and crannies to explore. Then the Platinum Games combat, it's just the plug-in chips upgrade stuff is a lot of fun. It's just a good time, man.
It really is.
One of these days, I might have to get around to playing that game.
I'm sure Alyssa would recommend you do so.
I do. It's fantastic. It's weird, but it's really good.
I do like weird.
It's certainly weird.
It's got that Yoko Taro flavor.
Oh yeah. Which I know you haven't tasted yet, CB, but he's not far off from Kojima in terms of flavor.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely haven't dove down the Yoko Taro tunnel like you have.
It's I feel like the tunnel doesn't end.
Well,
he's an addiction, that man.
I think you should start the Church of Yoko Taro, Zach.
I would happily. I call him my Lord and Savior almost every time I refer to him on Twitter.
Are you like, notice me, senpai?
Yeah. Yes, please. Oh, he follows me on Twitter. Don't not to brag or anything.
I want him to follow me on Twitter.
He'll do it. He liked my tattoo tweet once and then followed me back.
Oh, your tattoo is very cool.
Thank you. Thank you very much. CB Todd Howard, by the way, I listened to this is a tangent, but I listened to an interview with the game director for the Elder Scrolls Online. And the way he talks about your man Todd Howard, I actually had quite a bit more respect for old Todd. Because
really?
You always see him as on the Bethesda stage, so he just seems like an OxyClean ad man, basically, like just up there selling his wares. But he apparently sits in like every lore meeting about the Elder Scrolls. He's there in person to make sure, because that's his baby. So he's there to approve every story and lore decision, and he's just hands-on completely with the narrative of the Elder Scrolls and everything. I'm like, you know what? I like that. I actually do like that.
He seems like just a really genuine guy about his games, and I do appreciate that.
Yeah,
I do too.
Doesn't seem genuine when he's selling something. Not gonna lie.
No,
but when he's talking about Elder Scrolls, that guy cares. That was cool. Also, probably just dirty rich now after the Microsoft buyout, I imagine.
Oh, I'm sure.
I can't.
I mean, they did put him front and foremost in Xbox's own showcase.
I mean,
he opened the show.
Yeah, he was the Phil Spencer this year.
Yeah. Though I do love me some Phil Spencer too.
He's great. I want to hug that guy. He seems like he'd hug you back.
I want to hug everybody.
Wow. Yeah, Tsundere over here.
I just like hugging people.
Well, that'll take us right into the news. Well, in news, you can probably hug and murder your friends in the new game Crime Site they just announced, which is supposed to be like the werewolf kind of board games or Among Us. They use Among Us as a description as well. In other news, a Dead Space Revival seems all but confirmed at this point. Xbox Cloud Streaming is getting a major upgrade. I want to know what the hell you guys think of the whole abandoned and Blue Box Studio situation. And in honor of Weeaboo Week here at the Gaming Outsider, we have 4 new Trails games are on their way to the Western region. What jumps out at you, Alyssa?
The possibility of a Dead Space revival.
Yeah, I kind of figured that was going to be all of us.
I love Dead Space, and I was really sad when it didn't continue after the third one, even though admittedly the third one is the weakest one. But that series is one of the only series that genuinely can frighten me at any moment, because you never know when one of the aliens, I forget their names now, will jump out at you.
Necromorphs.
Necromorphs, yes, the Necromorphs will come out of a vent, and just seeing the damage done to Isaac through his spine, that was just, I would love to see a revival.
Yeah,
so I hope it's announced.
I'm not one for rumors on the show. I don't usually like to talk about rumors, but I mean, even the big sites are running with this, which is fairly unusual for a rumor of.
Oh yeah.
With unsubstantiated claims. It's supposed to be in the works over at EA Motive, who did the Battlefront 2 campaign and Star Wars Squadrons. So I guess they do have some sci-fi chaps. It's supposedly going to be unveiled at EA Play July 22nd, and is said to be a reimagining of the franchise, whatever that means.
The only thing that makes me nervous about this is they say that they're bringing back an old IP.
Right, reimagining, like a storied IP or something like that.
And it just makes me nervous because EA's been around a long time.
It's true.
And every time I hear like the Dead Space hype train get started, and then somebody just immediately slams the brakes on it, and it's something else weird. So until they like until July 22nd when it gets officially announced, like, I can't be hyped for this because I don't want to be let down.
Understood.
But
yeah, I get it.
But if it does come through, like a reimagining of it could be kind of fun, especially because it may not be the exact same game. I'm just hoping that all the elements are there that made the first one and the second one so great, and part of the third one.
My concern is that EA Motive is a first-person studio between Squadrons and Battlefront 2. So my concern is that they're going to try to piggyback off of the Resident Evil hype train.
Oh yeah,
and do their own like Dead Space first-person reimagining, and I guess that obviously it could work because those Resident Evil games are all well and good, but I don't know. There's something about the aesthetic of seeing Isaac Clarke's suit and everything that kind of sells Dead Space to me.
And it's just so iconic, and seeing the animations, just that eyeball scene, just still is stuck in my memory.
I mean, just even like his health bar is so iconic, right? Up along his spine.
The spine.
Yeah, I have a hoodie of that. It's really
that's cool.
Yeah, I love it.
I don't think that, as much as they would try to, I don't think they could push this into the first person view. Unless it's something wildly different, like, oh, it's a reimagining. It's not Isaac Clarke. It's someone else.
Yeah, well, I think that is probably the safest bet anyway. I feel it feels too early for a reboot, right?
It does. It hasn't been that long.
But I guess we live in a new era of reboots. But I don't know.
You're not wrong.
Leave Isaac alone. Gosh darn it.
We love him.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, to me, it's like almost cruel because Visceral Games only got shut down 4 years ago. It's just like they were so close that they could have just done a new Dead Space.
Yeah, I like I said, I don't want to get hyped because I'm so worried that I'm just gonna get slapped in the face again.
Well, even if it doesn't happen, and I think with the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, though, I would think that we're all but assured to get a Dead Space collection, right?
Oh, that'd be really cool.
That seems like the next one you would do. And maybe tool up Dead Space 3 a little bit to get rid of the microtransaction-y bits.
Definitely,
just to make people happy.
Yeah.
I think it'd go a long way. And then if they do announce a new game and it looks crappy, you got the Callisto Protocol still.
I am hyped for that one. Looks incredible from the trailers.
I'm actually super excited about that. I mean, the only thing that worries me is like they keep talking about a storied franchise that they're going to be like, oh yeah, we're bringing Medal of Honor back.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there is always that, but
or Spore. Like they bring back Spore.
That would be hilarious if EA Motive was working on Spore.
Yeah, actually, technically, it's been a while. I mean, they could be like, we're bringing Titanfall back.
That would be respawn or bust.
As I watch the gears just start turning in Zack's head, he's like, "Ooh, a new Titanfall."
Should I be excited? No, because it'll never be as good as a respawn Titanfall.
Well, if they're like, we're bringing back Mirror's Edge
again. By unpopular demand.
The first one was great. The second one I couldn't get into.
I love the first one and also wanted another game, and then I didn't even play Catalyst, which I think is based on sales number, which was obviously the case for many people. But I also think they made the mistake of rebooting Mirror's Edge, which was totally unnecessary.
It was unnecessary.
Oh my god! It just hit me.
What is it? You think it's to be Command and Conquer again?
No,
Dungeon Keeper.
Like we're again? Nope. They're like we're bringing back a storied franchise, Ultima.
I don't know. Is Motive the right studio though?
I don't know.
Does EA own Ultima?
Yes, they do.
Compelling. They used to be quite a publisher, huh?
Yeah, and that was the last Ultima game was like 2012 or 2013.
Maybe they're going to finally bring back their Godfather games. Wouldn't that be exciting?
Mutant League series, Mutant League hockey, football.
We're just running down EA's catalog now.
Well, there's a lot of possibilities.
They're going to announce a new Space Jam game that's just NBA Jam but reskinned.
I mean, that could happen with the new movie coming out.
Movie coming out.
Yeah, that would be depressing, though.
It would be. Storied franchise of one game.
It'd be horrifying. Just horrifying. All right. Well, now that CB's taking us to Depression Land somehow with a Dead Space revival, what else do you want to talk about, CB?
The Xbox Cloud service.
This got me excited. Let me tell you.
Yeah, me too. Because I use this on the regular, and now it's being upgraded to the Series X stuff. So brand new titles being able to be played. Man, once again, like Phil Spencer and Microsoft just winning me over more and more and more.
Well, it's just they're really putting their money where their mouth is on the Play Anywhere stuff.
Yeah,
so I guess real quick, we should probably tell people like the basic idea is when you stream a game from Game Pass via the cloud right now, you're playing on a base Xbox One and it's giving it to you over the internet. But they're going to upgrade all of the fleet of consoles to Series X's, which is the most powerful console on the market, and that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, the only thing that does worry me is the people that don't have access to unlimited phone data, because it does legitimately chew through data. I mean,
I certainly believe that. But
that would be me. I do not have unlimited data.
You know that. Do you have a Series console, Alyssa?
I do have a Series X, yes.
Yeah. So no skin off your back, this story.
Yeah, I don't have unlimited data.
Yeah, I mean, I actually use this. I use the cloud service probably almost every day I'm at work.
Really?
Like, I'll just pop on, play for a little bit. I was actually playing Dark Alliance on it 2 days ago, and it runs really smoothly. I was surprised. So
that's good. I'm surprised to hear that based on the performance of the game itself.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
But the fact that it's very stable. Playing it has been great. Like anything that I've been playing on the streaming service on my phone I haven't had any issues. So, and the fact that now I'm going to be getting a slightly faster and more robust library, even better, man.
Now, xCloud is not on Xbox One right now, or it is?
It is.
Okay. So, I mean, that's just so people who don't upgrade the new console can still have the next-gen experience of a sort. And that's that's insane to me. Because that means when they start just doing Xbox Series exclusives, your Xbox One can still technically play the new games.
Yep.
And that's
awesome.
Unbelievable. Yeah, I can't even. That's insane. That's a power move. That's a Phil Spencer move right there.
That's why I said Phil Spencer and his team are doing everything they can.
Papa Phil taking care of us.
They legitimately are making, as they like to say, the place where people want to play.
And I mean, they're building such a suite of technology and bargains that you just can't say no at a certain point.
Yeah, I actually for the first time I booted up my PS5 the other day, and I'm almost on the fence of I'm thinking about selling it.
I mean, PlayStation's not giving you a reason to own it.
I mean, right now it's just Ratchet and Clank, basically.
Right.
Yeah, I'm debating on picking that up, but for me right now, I'm just kind of holding on to it for Horizon and God of War when those eventually do come out.
And then like Godfall, which was exclusive to next gen, is coming to PS4. And then some data miners found Demon Souls on the PS4 store, so it seems like that's inevitable. I don't know what Sony's strategy quite is. as much as I'm all for cross-generation games, it's just weird because the PlayStation, their head Jim Ryan said, like, we believe in hard generations, and that obviously is not true. Like, clearly. It's just weird. Yeah. But I guess people are buying this console in record numbers without exclusives, so maybe the message of Sony is, oh, they don't care about exclusives.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I've had both since day one.
Right.
Me too.
And I will not abandon Sony. I will still play on their console. It's just everything that they're doing on Xbox is making me like kind of like, I wish Sony had something similar.
Oh, especially like
make
with
me
Game
want
Pass,
to play your console.
Because there's so many games coming out on Game Pass that you could play day one, like some even big games, and Sony just doesn't have that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost getting to the point that I feel like I'm just beating a dead horse with the fact that it's like, well, they're doing the things right.
This is weird for me. Like, I am a PlayStation gamer. I like trophies too much to ever really like switch all the way over. But it's just, I mean, the Series X looks far more appealing than the PS5 right now.
Until that day that Phil Spencer like, hey, all you PlayStation people, yeah, you transfer your account over, we'll match all your trophies onto our achievement platform.
Now that would be a power move.
It really would.
Could you imagine?
And Zack would be like, I'm gone.
You'd be like, yeah, right. But look, man, I'm looking forward to Final Fantasy 16, but not that much. But
yeah. So I'm assuming you're going to want to talk about Blue Box.
Are you guys keeping up with the Blue Box stuff at all?
I have not, so you guys are going to have to educate me.
Loosely, I'm just because I'm remembering previous iterations of the same move.
Right. So the general gist, Alyssa, is that people think Blue Box Studio is Kojima in disguise,
okay.
which he is known to do. Right.
That's
he set
true.
up a fake studio for the Phantom Pain, and people think that Abandoned might be a Silent Hill reboot to get back Kojima and Konami. And there's a bunch of stuff to support this. First off, Sony got behind Blue Box Studio in a weird way. Like, they gave them like an announcement thing, and they have like an exclusive deal with this studio. And the game Abandoned is getting its own trailer app for PS5, which is the first and only, like, it's the first game to ever have that. So again, it's a video hub app, which is weird for a random indie horror studio. And if you go to the owner or the studio head, whose name I should know, but I don't off the top of my head, probably because he's a fake human. If you go to his profile, he's played a bunch of games that don't even exist or anything. And one of the games he's played is called Siren's Head, which uses an image that Junji Ito drew.
Oh my god, Junji Ito!
Who was the art director announced for Silent Hills. So, there's another one. And if you line up the Blue Box Studio logo with the PlayStation Worldwide Studios logo, the blue box lines up with their flare on the console or their thing. So it's a bunch of series of coincidences that if it is not a Hideo Kojima ruse, I feel really bad for the studio because it's not going to end well. And then just the other day, there's Blue Box's studio head did like a weird 42-second. Hassan did a strange 42-second Twitter video where he's like, I am real and I don't know Kojima, nor am I working on Silent Hill. And it's just, if it's real and it's just some random game called Abandon, what the hell did Sony see in this thing to be like, we're going to get behind you ahead, like from lap 1 to the finish? And B, what a hell of a series of coincidences. Because they also like announced on Twitter, they're like, because Abandoned, their horror game they're making, is a code name. They're like, guess what the final name will be? It starts with an S and ends with an L. So if they're there's so many coincidences.
I mean, I can't see Sony just backing some random game developer, especially not one with any kind of like experience or anything. I mean, Kojima has so much experience, and what is he working on besides the director's cut of Death Stranding? Like, he's always working on something.
He's had years. And I guess what is the strangest wrinkle for me is that Konami and Kojima started following each other on Twitter again. Which is pretty huge considering the size of their falling out.
I mean, it did damage to Konami, though, when that happened.
True, but
it made them almost a useless studio.
Yes. So if you license it back to Kojima, you guys are buddies again. Because they stopped him from going to the Game Awards. They're not following each other on social media unless they have to. It's very strange.
Well, it gets even more bizarre because people have actually put that Twitter video through analyzers.
Oh boy, I haven't seen
found
this.
have found weird things about the video, like the frame rate which it runs at, which apparently is like the same frame rate that the Fox engine uses.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. I mean, you look at the video, like the guy just seems so scripted.
Yes,
and the video seems so awkward. Like constantly, he looks up and away. There's just so many weird things about that video.
Yes, if this is not a ruse, then that man is just a very strange individual because it's from a weird angle too. That's just not natural at all. It's just very. Yeah. It's kind of an unnerving. If it's not an actor, it's unnerving as hell.
It trips all the uncanny valley boxes.
Yes.
And didn't you also say Junji Ito is listed as the artist?
Well, he was listed the artist for Silent Hills, the Norman Reedus game that got canceled, but his one of his drawings is used for this game Siren's Head, which doesn't exist, but Hassan has somehow played with trophies and everything.
He's one of the most impactful manga artists of our current generation.
For sure.
He's not going to work with some nobody.
Yeah, but you'll work with a Hideo Kojima.
Yeah, if you actually go to Blue Box Studios' website, there's nothing there.
Yeah. And there are a few weird things, they have a failed Kickstarter from several years ago, but I don't know, to me it's not outside the realm of possibility you could talk to Kickstarter to fake it up a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
Or even
hey Kickstarter, we'll give you $100,000 if you do this for us.
Or even you pick, you buy a defunct studio's name or something to help your cover. I don't know. I sound like I'm wearing a tinfoil hat here, but it's just so many things lined up.
The Kojima alert is going off.
Right. Yes, absolutely.
And the fact that Kojima, even during E3, was openly saying he's we're well into production on our next project.
Absolutely. And they use a lot of sound effects and iconography that's very Metal Gear Solid-y, in that Death Stranding trailer, which, you probably get in trouble with Konami for unless you're pals with them.
It's true.
Yeah, there's too many weird coincidences. And Blue Box Studio, you're working on this new game, Abandoned. You'd figure there would be something on your website about this, but it just says, website is currently under construction. Here's links to our Facebook, Instagram, and all that. There's nothing on this page. Nothing. It just seems like such a weird, there's too many coincidences happening between all these things that something is about to align. And we're all going to be oh my God, come on.
Well, and then just more wrinkles that I'm remembering. Blue Box is supposedly a Hungarian studio, but all the tweets from Hassan, if it was Hungarian time, are around 3 or 4 in the morning, which Tokyo time is about 10 or 11 in the morning, which lines up pretty well with a Tokyo workday, unless this guy is just a severe night owl. And then in the Death Stranding trailer, Norman Reedus' character he has a Hungary flag on his uniform, which is a customizable option in the base game, but of all the flags you could have chosen, you picked that one.
Yeah.
Quite interesting.
It's such a fun conspiracy to play with, especially because Kojima likes to do this kind of stuff.
Yes. And I feel if you were the developer, I guess it would be tempting to be we can ride this to get more attention. But if Sony's already backing you, you might just want to play it safe and be no, guys, we're just making a game called Abandoned. I don't know what to tell you. It's all these coincidences are fun, but please, we're not Hideo Kojima, because all you're gonna do is make people mad if you're not at the end of it, you know.
And Kojima has never played it safe. We can safely say that.
Yes, that's true.
No, he's willing to do his own thing and not care.
A historical gambler.
Cutie booty delivery duty.
There is that, yes. Well, of course, the famous bait and switch of Snake and Raiden.
Yeah.
Oh, that made so many people angry.
I mean, if you did it today, I feel like the internet would just destroy you. False advertising, anti-consumer behavior, etc.
Oh, are you kidding me? They would just be like, "Oh, it's Kojima."
Well,
but now,
yeah,
back
I'm saying
then,
if you did that move from where he was in his career, then now I don't think people would be thrilled. You know,
true.
But anyway, that's our conspiracy theory for the week. I did just want to briefly say a bunch of Trails games are coming out, and that's all part of the Legend of Heroes franchise. And I'm doing this because I can actually be my otaku self a little bit more this year, because I like Japanese games a lot. But I've always wanted to get into this franchise, never have. But a bunch of games are coming over. But what's interesting to me is that they've all been fan translated before by this group called Geofront, and the publisher is actually licensing their fan translation as the basis to start their localization process, and that is so cool.
Well, I mean, that's actually like pretty ingenious because all the work's done.
Right, yeah, you just touch it up, right? You just make sure all the lore terminology is right with your franchise Bible and stuff, and then you just move on, right? Like, yeah, I think, and it's a great way to reward the people who are obviously the most diehard and dedicated fans.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even need to think you need to fact check it that hard.
I mean, I would probably double check it personally.
Oh, you would, but you're not going to sit there and need to go over with like a super fine tooth comb.
No, like you can assume if they care enough to translate these 4 games with wild names, you can probably assume that they care about the franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So congrats to them. Who knows? Maybe that could be the beginning of a brand new business for them.
I think it'd be really smart. Maybe that's a way to get these games over here faster, even.
Yeah, just, well, especially with all these like outsourcing companies these days, just find companies like this Geofront group and be like, hey, we need to bring Mother to the US.
Right. Oh,
Can you do the translation for us?
Perfect.
Can you imagine if that was announced?
Oh my God.
Just give me, Mother 1, 2, and 3 in a collection bundle.
I know Terry Crews would be thrilled.
I know a lot of people that would be thrilled.
Big advocate for Mother 3, that Terry Crews. It's just really funny to me that he cares.
It is.
But that's some nerd stuff. I think that's really cool. And there are games here like Trails from Zero and Trails of Azure, which is like a duology that is like it plays into another set of the games in this franchise, Trails in the Sky, pretty importantly. So it's nice fans are getting everything finally.
I feel like weren't there about 2 games that were exclusive to Vita, and not many people bought the Vita?
There are Trails into the Sky and Trails into the Sky Second Chapter they're actually PSP games.
Okay.
And you can only if you want to play them now, Vita's your best shot. But if anybody is interested, those are the first ones that got translated and are supposed to be quite magical. But the PSP store is going offline July 2nd. So your time to pick those 2 up are limited. Those are the 2 games I'm most concerned about, because I have the first one. And I'm obviously going to have to buy the second one for the second. But they're only on PSP, and I think they are on Steam now, but all the rest of the games are on PS4 and Switch, so you think you would want to get these PSP games over there too, and kind of de-strand them. Because I think it's safe to say most JRPG players are console players.
Yeah,
definitely. I would assume so.
I would say PS4 and Switch are the JRPG crowd.
You're not wrong.
Well, there's a lot of sound effects happen there.
Well, no, I was in the middle of like another thought when it hit me. But no, I'm really hoping that this does become more of a thing, because there are so many Japanese or other countries' exclusives that have never made their way to the US, and with today's market and like how small the world has become because of the internet, that I really hope that a lot of those exclusive titles to other countries that have never been translated to English find their way here, or the ones that are here in the US but never made it over there get translated that way too.
Well, it's just work with your biggest fans. Don't take a dump on them like Nintendo.
They're slowly remedying that, I guess.
They are very slowly. They're un-Nintendoing themselves, but yes, they're just a little behind. But yeah, no, I think you're right, Steve. I think this is when I saw this article, I was like, that is such a great unexplored avenue. Like, it's just smart. Yeah. People have done the work for you, and the people who are going to buy it are going to trust the other fans to translate it anyway, because they would be downloading this patch and modding their consoles to run it anyway. So why not just license it, put it out for real, slap it on a digital storefront, $14.99, move on with your life.
Well, I mean, especially with the rise of like all these like collections of retro games that are going on today.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was a big company that had access to these libraries, like, hey, these have never been released in the US before for some reason. Let's just get them quick translated, throw them together in a bundle, and ship it.
Yeah, I mean, if I was...
Just make a quick, easy buck.
If I was a game publisher, I would re-release I would definitely pull a Square Enix and just put all of my games on every console, every chance I get.
Yeah, I mean, the NES alone, I think there's like over 200 titles that never made it to US shores.
I'm sure.
So...
hurts your completionist heart to say that.
Yeah,
but anyway,
it does.
We should probably we got a lot of games this week, so we should probably move on to the games we've actually been playing. But I guess before we do, a little bit of housekeeping. We are an independently funded podcast, which means we must pay for our podcast hosting services, website, etc. Which is why we have a Patreon page where fans like you listening can contribute monthly to help offset the costs of those production, as well as give back to the community with our giveaways and such. If you'd like to help out, you can go to patreon.com/thegocast, and there are several different tiers you can choose from there. You get bonus episodes when you sign up. CB, what do we got? What do we got over there?
Well, no, we recently did our Friends trivia episode where Scott and Zack faced off. It was a lot of fun, even though I don't watch Friends.
Which, by the way, if you like me, I am part of that episode.
Yes,
or Alyssa that might be a turn off. So if you don't like me, still join.
Come on.
Still join
the
Patreon.
Who doesn't love Alyssa?
I'm sure
Everybody
there's some
loves
people
Alyssa.
out there.
No. We also did a Near Replicant spoiler cast.
Yeah, we did.
And the struggles of reviewing games that are not for us.
Which is a hard struggle.
Doesn't exist for me.
It is. It's very difficult.
It's weird. Love all games.
That's not even close to true.
Yeah, screw Tour de France.
That's a little preview of one of the games we talk about. Yes, I mean, that's basically... I mean, I guess it is like the most first world of problems, but, imagine... you just have to like tap your pencil on a counter for 45 hours straight. That's how some games feel like when you're forced to go through them and you're just not connecting. Or Tour de France is actually quite literal. It is just tapping a button.
Yeah.
For 12 hours.
Never again.
All right, but let's jump into the games we've actually been playing. Long list of new games this week. Curved Space, which is an arcade shooter, but you can your little pod ship can scoot around the surfaces. It looks it made me think of CB. That's coming to your little Galaga heart. That's going to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, and PC June 29th. Destroy All Humans, the recent remake, finally gets a Switch port on June 29th. Surprised that took so long, considering it was a PS2 game. Long-running JRPG franchise Disgaea 6 Defiance of Destiny comes to Switch June 29th. That franchise is near and dear to my heart because that was the first game I ever got a death threat for reviewing, was one of the Disgaea games.
What?
Oh.
Yeah, it was Disgaea
I don't know
D2.
this story.
I mean, it's just a brief story. I was writing for RPG Fan at the time. I reviewed Disgaea D2, which was like a throwback sequel because it had all the characters from the first game. So I knew the fan base was very excited for it, but I reviewed it. I gave it like a 64% or something like that, so not even that terrible of a review.
That's not bad.
But it's I got my first email where this gentleman said that my head should be put on a pike as a warning to all other game journalists to treat franchises fairly. And I was a little bit honored to get a death threat.
I mean, for me, if you didn't like it, you were treating it fairly.
I mean, 64%. I mean, this still means I liked it. You know, just means
in today's day and age, that is a failing grade.
Is that right?
65% and higher.
Oof! I wouldn't have done great in school then. I would have had to skim by even higher. But anyway, Doom Eternal gets its next-gen dedicated versions on PS5 and Series X June 29th. Sky, Children of the Light, which was an Apple or an iOS and Android game, comes to Switch June 29th. It's free to play, and it's from the Journey team, and it's very good on phone. You should check it out. I think Switch is a much better fit because it demanded a controller when I played it. But not literally, it was just not good with the virtual buttons. Spirit of the North, a game where you play as a little fox boy, coming to Xbox Series consoles and Xbox One June 29th. This another CB joint, I'm guessing. Zombies Ate My Neighbors and Ghoul Patrol coming to PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC June 30th. Arkan, what's that?
That is more of a Nate, our producer.
Okay.
It is one of his favorite games.
Shout out to Nate. Is there any reason those two games specifically are being joined together?
The same developer.
Okay, so it's just to increase the value.
Yeah.
Arkan, the Dog Adventure, comes to Xbox One and Switch June 30th. You'll be hearing about that one shortly. Doki Doki Literature Club Plus coming to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series consoles, Xbox One, Switch, and PC June 30th. That'll also be getting a physical version in August. And then Greedfall.
I'm gonna get it.
Dedicated PS5 and Series X versions June 30th. What's jumping out to you, Alyssa? It sounds like Doki Doki Literature Club.
It is. I don't know much about it, but I've heard it's not as it appears, and that sounds intriguing to me.
Correct. The less trailers, the better on that one for sure. It was one of my favorite games that year. I want to say it was my number 2 game of the year that year. I loved it a lot. It's tremendous. I have the physical version pre-ordered because it comes with little like cutie little cardboard cutouts of the different girls and stuff. It just
is it still available?
I think so.
You can get it at GameStop.
Yeah, I can't remember if it's a GameStop exclusive or not. It might be.
No,
because
you can get it on GameStop, Amazon.
All right.
I actually pre-ordered mine through Target.
Okay. Well, then I am dead wrong. You can get it anywhere. But it's only $30, and you get the game and a whole bunch of physical goodies. It's a pretty good deal. And that game is. I can't recommend that game enough. It's so good. What about you, CB? What are you excited? Same thing.
Doki Doki.
Wow, what a fascinating clean sweep for Doki Doki Literature Club. This was the right crew for the anime episode.
I mean, well, when you look at everything else this week, I'm kind of like,
fair enough.
Yeah.
Me.
I mean, Greedfall continues to look cool, but I just haven't played it yet.
Yeah.
But
it's up there for me, but it's backlog material.
Right, which means we'll never get to it with the rate of releases these days. But Doki Doki is seriously, that's one of my favorite games, ever. Like, it's just so good. But yeah, I guess we should actually talk about the games we have been playing then, huh?
Yeah.
So we've Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance. I've played it on base Xbox One. CB, I assume you're playing on a Series X. Alyssa, have you played this at all?
I have not, but I was going to ask if I have no knowledge of Dungeons and Dragons. I know, do you both play D&D?
Yeah, I'm actually currently playing a D&D campaign with Scott and a few other listeners.
Yeah, I think they play every week. I did have every other. Apologies. I did have a campaign going for the better part of a year back when I was in Chicago, but it's been a while.
I was just wondering, does this game feel like an authentic D&D story campaign?
CB's face
or
tells me no.
Story, yes.
Okay.
D&D, no.
No.
It's actually based off of the Legend of Driz series, which I'm also heavily familiar with.
And that's Ari Salvatore, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
I've
name.
met him a couple times. He's a nice guy. Yeah.
I know Drizzt is a very popular character.
Yeah. God, I think it's over 24 book series now.
Wow.
I've read all but the most 3 current ones. So I've read them a lot. It's probably one of the few book series that I've read multiple times.
Oh wow, okay. High praise.
Yes, I love Ari Salvatore's work.
So you must have been pretty stoked to see the characters in video game format, right?
Yeah. The companions, there are parts that I take issues with. I will leave with that. I mean, Drizzt's ultimate, Guinevere, his astral projection cat.
What? There's an astral projection cat?
Yes. But the problem is when he uses his cat in like the physical plane, it appears as a large black panther.
Ooh.
And in this game, it's just like, nope.
Oh.
It's an astral cat, literally. So there have been liberties taken with the material, which irritate me.
That's weird because I feel like a panther appeals more to a capital G gamer anyway.
I know.
Yeah. Overall, like the combat to me, it's Dark Souls-esque. Very much so.
No. What? Absolutely not. You're out of your mind.
Are you kidding me? Well, okay, it depends on which character you're playing as. I'm playing as Drizzt, which basically he gets his kicked when
funny.
You play on the higher difficulties.
I mean, it might be difficult, but with the way like the cooldown powers and everything, honestly, to me, it felt like Overwatch. Especially I was playing as well. That's how I feel when you're Dark Souls comparison, son. Who is the name of the girl? Darn it,
Katie Bree,
the archer lady.
Katie Bree.
Oh, okay. She plays like Overwatch to me and feel like you because you're just shooting from afar and hilarious. No enemy responds to you at all if you're in single player. By the way, you just shoot them and they don't move. It's pretty bad. But you were just doing that and the waiting for your powers to reset. It just really reminds me of the Overwatch system.
Okay, yeah. So you playing as that character? Yes, playing as Drizzt, where you have no like range attacks. Really, you basically have to get up and close and personal. It's a lot of dodge and roll, dodge and roll, dodge and roll, opening attack, dodge and roll, over and over and over and over.
Right. And over.
To the point that I was getting so frustrated playing single player that I had more fun playing with randos.
Whoa, that's unusual.
Yeah. I'm fairly far into the campaign. I'm more than halfway done with it. My character level, I'm currently at level 13. So max is like 20. So I've been chugging through it. I wanted to like this game so much more. To me it's just mediocre at best.
Yeah, and like, as a non D&D diehard and no familiarity with the characters at all, I played like an hour. And then I sent you a message on Xbox, and I take umbrage because you did not reply.
Oh,
but
wait, who did you send me a character?
I sent you a message on Xbox.
As Ashrag?
Yeah.
I never got it.
I mean, maybe it bizarrely didn't send, or like didn't go through or something. But then I played for like another half hour, and I was like, I can't do this because I mean, I reached out because of suffering in co-op games together is better than alone. But
we will have to realign because I will say the game does get a lot more fun playing with people. Playing solo, it is a miserable experience.
Yeah, it's miserable is a good word for it, to be honest.
And how is it miserable? Is it due to the combat or just
the combat is not like if you are playing a melee character, it is that if you go to heal, the heal animation is very slow. You will die.
Now that does sound like Dark Souls.
It's hard to stay engaged in combat because everything kicks your whereas it's nice to have someone else. So basically like hit, and then somebody else hits it and turns the character that you're fighting and you hit it again, like you can bounce it around between people. Whereas when you're playing solo, like everything and most of the mobs that you play in this do not just come as like one. It's like 5 to 10. And they all attack at the same time. So being a melee character, yes, it is a miserable experience. And whereas Zack's playing as a ranged character and they just ignore him completely.
Which is also miserable because you have to do this weird thing where you go in and melee a couple of them to activate the mob and then back up and start doing ranged combat because that's where your strengths are. And that's not fun. You're basically kiting them like a Nintendo 64 game.
Yeah.
That's when your AI is about as sophisticated as GoldenEye, released in 1998. That's not good.
No, it's very disheartening for a fan of both Dungeons and Dragons and the characters themselves. I'm hoping with some patching this can get better, but if you are going to play this game, play it with friends, play it with randoms. It gets so much better. And the one thing I do like, though, is other than Drizzt's cat, the majority of the lore is actually really accurate. And the story is phenomenal.
Oh. So, I mean, I don't have the familiarity with the characters, so it probably didn't pull me in as much. I did like Archer Lady and Dwarf Man's relationship.
Yeah, for those that don't know, Brunor, the dwarf, is the adopted father of both Wolfgar the barbarian and Katie Bree the archer, who is a human.
And that's a lot of fun.
And then Drizzt is a dark elf who befriends all of them, who is an outcast from his society.
It's kind of a cute little setup.
It is.
As far as a traveling pack goes.
Yep. And then one of the main villains of that series is one of my favorite characters of all time from books.
Okay.
Artemis, who is a human male assassin. He's just got a lot of internal conflict. Like he's seriously one of my favorite written villains / anti-heroes.
I mean, that's high praise indeed.
It is.
Yeah.
I will one thing I will give praise to in this game, I actually really like that your loot doesn't reveal itself until you get back to the hub area.
Yes.
Because I hate playing these kind of like Diablo or whatever, especially with friends, actually, because everybody always wants to stop and look, how this bow compares to the one they have. And it just totally ruins the pace of the game for me. So to not have the ability until you get back to camp, I'm like, that's perfect. I never do that. I never check myself until you get back to camp anyway. Just because I like to get, I like to stay in the flow of the story and the combat and everything, and stopping every 2 enemies to see if this ring enchants my armor enough is just not thrilling to me.
I will say when you're playing with randoms, though, that makes it miserable. Because then everybody sits there forever and checks their armor and checks their gear at the hub.
But I'd rather...
And I'm just like, let's just keep playing, man.
But I'd rather know when the pause is coming.
True.
Yeah, I can expect it.
I could just bathroom breaks and drinks are nice.
Exactly right. Yeah, go get another old fashioned.
So
I guess we're not recommending it. It sounds like
if you have Game Pass and friends who have Game Pass, give it a whirl.
This is a game.
Don't play it solo. It sucks.
This is a game that's only chance of survival is the fact that it's on Game Pass
and with other people.
Oh, and I do take umbrage with using the Dark Alliance name. It's nothing like Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance at all. Not even like a spiritual reimagining. It's just they're definitely just trending off the name.
Trying to get people to play.
Yeah.
Forgotten Realms does fall into the D&D lore.
No, I know that. I'm just saying, like, those PS2 Diablo clones do not feel like this game at all.
Well, Drizzt was in those.
Well, that's great. It sounds like he's in everything. He's all over the place.
He is one of like the top 4 characters out of the Forgotten Realms series.
I had no idea he was the Spider-Man of Dungeons and Dragons. He just shows up in every storyline for no reason.
Pretty much. So. All right. Well, speaking of other games, Zach, you've been playing Scarlet Nexus.
I cannot believe I'm the only person playing this game.
I want to. I'm so bad at juggling games because I'm stuck. Well, not stuck, but I'm playing Ratchet and Clank.
Right.
So. It is downloaded on my Xbox.
Oh, okay.
But I keep getting sidetracked by other games, especially games that I'm reviewing.
Yeah. Yeah, I do have a lull in my reviews, so this was perfectly timed.
Which, by the way, this game also has an anime series that is airing right now.
Right.
So, if you want to watch it and play at the same time, you can.
Do you know if it's dubbed yet? I know this is a side.
I think there's only been 2 episodes released on, I think, Funimation.
Uh-huh.
I don't think they're dubbed yet.
I was wondering because couldn't you just use the same actors? You know, just kind of like
actually,
hey.
it might be. I think it might be actually because I did read something about having the same actors.
Okay, I know it's an utter crime to be a dubbed fan, but I do prefer my animes dubbed.
I do too.
Okay.
I don't.
Yeah, I know.
Give me subs.
I think I watched Made in Abyss was like the only show where I was just so excited for it. I watched it in Japanese. But anyway, Scarlet Nexus, great. It's a great game.
Visually, it looks amazing from what I've seen.
It's very sharp, and it keeps that up. Like the cutscenes are often presented in like an almost like comic book paneling style, because if you've played a JRPG, they always do the thing where either you're just like the camera's just sitting there while the characters talk for like 40 minutes. Or they'll do the thing, I think the more famous thing where they put like the 2 character portraits up on the screen side by side and they're just talking to each other.
Oh, like the Tales of series does that famously.
Yes, and of course this is Bandai Namco, so it actually has a fair bit of Tales DNA, but they do like a thing where they shift their backgrounds and positions a little bit to make it a little bit more interesting, but it's a cool style because it feels a little bit comic booky, but then it'll transition right into a proper cutscene and then like transition back to the comic book stuff or like go right into gameplay. It's a pretty cool style for sure.
Okay.
And then all the enemies look awesome. Like the creativity in the enemy design is insane and highly contrasts with the pretty standard looking anime characters.
All right.
But I guess
how's the combat? I mean that's the only thing that like from the trailers that I'm like I don't know.
Oh man, well I reserved one of my rare gifts on the internet, CB, of Gordon Ramsay going brilliant because
I saw that.
It's so good. It's immaculate. I mean I don't even know how to begin to describe it. It's so your character has psychokinesis, so like telekinetic powers, and it's dedicated to the R2 button. This is for PlayStation centric, but you still like attack and square and triangle like you would like a Devil May Cry game or what have you. But while you're doing that, you could be comboing while you're reading a psychokinesis attack, and then like your character will jump out of the way, slam a car into the enemy, and then you can immediately follow it back up with like a juggle attack, and you can kind of keep this little flow going and keep the enemy off balance. And if you get them off balance enough, you can do like a crushing psychokinesis attack where you just like destroy their brain. And it's pretty sick because it cuts like this cool little cutscene. But there's just such a flow of, I'm going to aerial juggle over here, but I'm going to use a psychokinesis on this guy over here, and then I'm going to hop on this bus, and then my psychokinesis allows me to like drive the bus into the enemies real quick, and then I'm hopping right back off. And you can borrow the psychic powers of your squad mates. So like, okay, right now I'm going to light my sword on fire, and set this guy on fire because I just used my telekinesis to slam an oil barrel into him. So now he's going to get lit on fire and do more damage. And if it sounds like there's a lot going on, it's because there is. But the game has I was going
to say, it sounds very frenetic.
It does.
It does, but the game starts you really slow, where it'll just be like, you'll just do regular combos at first, and then it'll introduce the psychokinesis, and then you'll marry those two for a while, and then you'll get one squad mate, right? And then you'll learn how to use the powers intertwined with your comboing and your psychokinesis, and then you'll get like, oh, now we have two squad mates, right? And one has a defense power, one has an offense power, and you can only use one at a time when you start until you level up, and you can pick the skill to use two at a time. But it's just there is a lot going on in every combat encounter. But because you have all these cool powers and skills, by the time combat ends, you're like, oh man, I didn't get a chance to use my psychokinesis. So you're like looking forward to the next fight to decide what powers you're going to use next. And it's pretty, it's good. It's great stuff.
All right. I mean, I'm definitely gonna have to dabble, I guess.
I'm definitely sold on it.
Story-wise, fun. I mean, interesting.
Yeah. What's I guess the general hook is there are these things called others, which are the enemies in the game, and they just kind of like fall from the sky. But it's been happening for hundreds of years, so humanity can kind of predict when they're gonna fall. And I guess they can almost like a weather forecast.
It's raining humans today.
Yeah, it's raining
others today.
It is like they'll roll in like anti-air cannons to that area, and you can kind of see where maybe a story hook where their forecasts might be off or whatever, and set some things into motion, which I don't feel like is a spoiler because that was my first guess. But it sets up a cool setting where like the civilians just kind of have to live life, hoping that the AA cannons always work and stuff. I guess a little Attack on Titan-y in that way.
I was going to say, it sounds kind of like Attack on Titan.
Yeah, because I guess it is actually, because the cities they're like independent, and they have to leave like vast stretches of desert in between each city just so they can see any potential approaching others. So I guess it is a little Attack on Titan-y, but that show was not for me. But this is. And you can play as either Yuito, who is a young man who is very much hero, harem, shonen protagonist, where like all the girls have a crush on him, but he doesn't notice because he's too busy trying to do the right thing for everybody else. Kind of character who I think is the lead of about most anime. And then you have Kasane, who was talking to your guy, Alyssa, Sean, about online. I didn't even think about it, but he compared her to 2B, and she is quite 2B-ish. And she's just like a very standoffish, except she has, the sister who is the only person she actually cares about. Like a little bit like 2B and 9's. It's just, and I'm trying to play and like do one chapter as one character, one chapter as the other character. I don't think I'm going to need to keep that up because Yuito's story is ramping up a little bit faster than Kasane's, and I'm kind of getting a little invested. But they have their own storylines, but they intersect every now and again. I assume they'll separate on their own quest and probably reconvene for the finale. But it's an interesting choice to give you two perspectives on a brand new IP right away, and it's not like they're fighting different bosses and stuff. Like it's not like a Resident Evil situation where sure you can pick Claire or Leon, but does it really matter that much? Like you're really definitely. They're two. It's like they ship two games.
Okay.
Yeah, and it seems like I'm reading each character is like 20 to 25 hours, which is a long runtime because that means it's gonna be like 40 or 50 hours to beat the game.
That sounds like Scott's nightmare.
True, and can definitely be a turnoff for me as well, but it is paced in such a way to where I don't even notice an hour goes by until it's gone, because it just the pace of, story feed the story drip feeding and plot twists, like a significant. I'm only like 6 hours in as Yuito, and I think 3 hours in as Kasane. But like plot twists are already happening. Like they're not afraid to get the ball rolling. They're not really dragging it out. So if you have like 20 hours of compelling story, then I'm in. So yeah, Scarlet Nexus, highly recommended. I am having an absolute blast. I can't remember the last time I had this much fun with the combat system. I guess probably Devil May Cry 5. It's just so phenomenal.
Cool. So I guess I will have to kind of bump that one up my priority list.
Oh, yeah, me too. Definitely.
Yeah, I think you guys are. I think you guys are gonna dig it. It's just got a good. It's got a really good pace, and that's important in a lengthy action RPG. Yeah. So that's recommended from me. Alyssa, you reviewed for us Tender Creature Comforts. I want to say the review is on the site now. It's an iOS game. Why don't you tell us about it? Tender, the name kind of gives it away a little bit, right?
It does. It does. It's only one letter away from the actual dating app. But Tender Creature Comforts, you play as this human who has just broken up with their partner, and you decide to go to this planet called Comfortix. I'm assuming that's how you say it, because there's no voice acting.
Is it with an X at the end?
It is.
So it's 90s and cool.
Everyone on this planet has Tinder with an E on their phone. So it's just a dating planet. And then you just swipe left or right like you would on a typical dating app. But there's aliens and anthropomorphic animals and other humans. And they all have like funny bios, and some of the conversations. I mean, it feels like you're actually talking to someone, because, you get ghosted, you have people that are rude to you, people that are too clingy. You can go on dates with people, but you can only go on 10 dates before the game kicks you out. Yeah, it's a really immersive experience.
That's compelling. And the messages come in real time, right?
Yes. Some of the people will answer you immediately. Some take a few minutes or hours. Some will never answer you back. And the dates you have to schedule for a specific day and time. And if you happen to miss the date, you might get some leniency and they might allow you to reschedule it, or they could get super ticked off and unmatch you, which is basically blocking you. So there's a little bit of stress there, having to remember you have a date coming up.
Right, with your virtual boyfriend.
Well, I don't think most of these characters, their gender doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, I guess it is the future.
Because there are characters that have a seemingly female name, but they're men, vice versa. Or it could just be this weird Gook name.
Oh.
It's interesting.
I mean, it sounds cool. Like, I'm surprised nobody came up with this idea before.
Oh, I know, and it feels so great to play it on a mobile device. You can also get this on PC, but I mean, just, physically swiping and typing, which you're not actually typing, you just tap the screen a bunch and it types out a message that you choose, but it just feels so good, so tactile. It's just satisfying. Yeah, and plus it notifies you every time you have a date coming up, or if you get a message.
Dating sims, of course, are a time-honored genre, but the hook of swiping left and right, just like in real life, is like a super smart way to, like, you're just circumventing to be like, these are the characters I want to get to know. You don't have to play the game part of a dating sim as much.
Yeah, I mean, you can swipe left on characters you're not interested in, but it just feels more natural than most dating sims do, because, a lot of dating sims are kind of cheesy, but we love them anyway. Right. This feels like you're actually connecting with a genuine being, even though you're really not. It just feels natural.
I mean, it sounds way more natural than Mass Effect talking to somebody until they fall in love with you.
Trust me, it is.
Yeah, yeah. Is it on Apple Arcade, or is it just like a? I think it's a premium download, right? Where you have to pay for it. Is that right?
It is, yes.
Okay. A daring move in the App Store, but I don't know, man. Your written review, which is on the site, was of course tremendous because your reviews are always tremendous.
Oh, thank you.
And I guess this is the blow smoke up Alyssa's ass episode, but it is like it really sold me on the idea of the game for sure.
Yeah, if it sounds good to you, like you want to play it, I'd definitely recommend it. If you can play it on your cell phone, do it. But if you have to play on PC, I'd recommend it too.
I mean, it sounds made for iOS.
It really is.
Yeah, so I mean, it sounds like definitely a recommendation from you then.
It is a high recommendation if this is your kind of jam.
There you have it.
All right, well, speaking of games you've been reviewing, you have another one that you've played. The Magnificent Trufflepigs, which I'm actually kind of interested in because I like games that have that blend of real life like cutscenes, which from the trailer that I saw, it has a little bit of that. But
trailer's a little bit deceiving, to be honest.
Oh,
I know, I'm sorry, CB, I'm sorry. But I did not enjoy this one as much. I will say Arthur Darvill, who is on Doctor Who and Broadchurch and Legends of Tomorrow, does a phenomenal job voice acting this character, and Lucy Fish as well. It has very strong Firewatch vibes in the sense that you're talking through a walkie-talkie to a person. But this game, you go to the character's house. I've forgotten their names by now, the characters' names. But Lucy Fish's voice character, you go to her estate, and she runs a metal detecting company, and she wants you to go through all of her land and try to find this missing earring of hers. And of course, there's a history between you two, so you go around metal detecting, and it looks beautiful. It's got a distinct art style, and it's very relaxing. But what I did not enjoy was the actual metal detecting, because when you're in metal detecting mode, because you have to go into this specific mode by pushing a certain button, you move slow as molasses, which I'm sure is what happens in real life. But I was kind of like, I don't know if I want it to be this realistic, because it's so slow. And then you just find, again, like real life, you're going to find a lot of just crap. Just stuff that's meaningless, but you still have to take a picture of it, send it to her character. She might reply back to you and say, oh, yeah, you didn't find anything, or have some anecdote. But the story is really, really good. There are no cutscenes, really. The only cutscene you get is during their lunch break. You'll go sit in her car, but you don't see the characters, and they just talk. And you just get an aerial view of the car, and it goes in a circle. And then you go back to metal detecting.
Okay, so it's basically a walking simulator with words.
Yeah, it's a walking simulator with some really slow metal detecting.
Yeah, it's weird. The metal detecting sounds like it's getting in the way.
It is, and it can be annoying sometimes when you're metal detecting, because at the top of the screen there's a bar, and it'll flash red when you have an object, but sometimes you'll move in the direction it shows you, and then it goes all the way to the other side, so you're spinning in a circle trying to find this object, and it takes forever before it's finally like, oh, I'm here, where you've already went in a circle a bunch of times. And then it's just like some penny, and it's like, oh. But I do say the story and the voice acting and the charming visuals do help it. It's just the actual mechanic of the game I'm not a big fan of, but I think some people might like it just because it is relaxing, and you do have to focus on trying to find these things, and you have a set amount of time to do it. But it just wasn't for me.
Okay. I mean, if it ever comes to console, I might check it out. Just because I do like my walking simulators. They are relaxing.
And it's not very long. I think it took me a little under 3 hours to finish it, so.
I like Arthur Darvill.
He is fantastic in this.
He's great. Great Rip Hunter.
Yes, Rip Hunter.
All right, well, so recommend?
I would say it's not a recommend, but it's not a complete
write-off.
Yeah, just it's kind of in the middle. If you find it on a sale, or if you're looking for a walking simulator to play, it's worth a check out if it's on sale or it just sounds good to you. But I can't be like everyone needs to play it.
Not every game we play on here is going to be for us, guys.
That's true.
That is true.
It'd be a great catchphrase, I think. But the games we play this week are not the only ones that get discussed. You're going to hear a brief Scott cameo as he interviews a couple people, as well as our producer Nate Lucas about games they've been playing. You can listen to Dark Deity with Rel, Metal Unit with Kevin Honigford, Just I Already with Josh Hirschman, WarTales also Kevin. I think guys working harder than we are. Arkan, The Dog Adventure, Chris Owens is reviewing, and then Backbone by Thomas Bex. That's you can listen to those right now.
Well, hello there again, Rel. How you doing, man?
I am doing pretty good. I got a cherry and blueberry cobbler in my tummy.
That sounds delicious, man. I made some strawberry jam today on your recipe recommendation.
Nice.
It's currently chilling in the refrigerator as we speak, but you're not here to talk to me about jam. You're here to be talking to me about Dark Deity, a game from Sword and Axe that you've been playing for us. I came from Stride PR, so I want to give those guys a shout out. But you compared this game to a game that I've not played, which is Fire Emblem, and I know you were completely shocked when you heard me say I hadn't played a Fire Emblem game. So you're going to have to kind of, give it to me straight. What does this mean?
Yeah, I was just like, oh my god. Ow. I mean, admittedly, it's not that unusual. Fire Emblem was and is one of Nintendo's premier franchises, but it also didn't really attract a lot of attention in the West until what I think was the 7th Fire Emblem game came over on the Game Boy Advance, and then it started gaining in popularity over the years.
Okay.
Fire Emblem Three Houses is probably the most prominent and famous of the series at this point, since it was a pretty smashing success. The concept behind a Fire Emblem game is you are typically, a group of soldiers or the leader of an army who has, various soldiers under his command, who fights various battles on a grid-based map. And Fire Emblem games, at least, would have, older ones anyway, would have kind of a weapons triangle where sword beats axe, axe beats spear, spear beats sword. And,
rock, paper, scissors style?
Yeah, rock, paper, scissors style of combat. Dark Deity has something similar, but rather than it being like rock, paper, scissors, it's more like, okay, this weapon is the power weapon and has lots of power, but not any kind of bonuses to accuracy or critical chance. This one's the crit weapon, this one's the balanced weapon, and this one's, I forget the fourth one. But it follows the same style of combat where you play a group of recruits that are just fresh out of military training academy who are forcibly recruited into the army in order to fight a war. And through a series of battles, you find out that maybe the side that you're fighting on is not, the most moral of sides. And through the various circumstances, you stop a great evil.
Okay. Is this medieval time period or?
Very much so.
So it sounds like standard JRPG fare in terms of storyline. Although, fresh out of military school is kind of different, I guess.
Yeah, the Fire Emblem games, or at least Three Houses, had that same conceit where the entire game was centered around a military academy and you played as one of the professors. And so the entire game was just building up your troops until something happens, and I won't spoil it. Dark Deity is pretty similar, except you were in military academy, first years as well, and then the king was like, no, you're all graduated now, go fight.
Okay. So you digging this one?
I am. I mean, I'm a huge Fire Emblem nut, and so it was really nice to play a game like this. That said, for longtime Fire Emblem fans, I'd kind of describe this as Fire Emblem Light compared to Three Houses. Three Houses had like some very deep systems and lots of like crunchy number stuff. This one has a lot of the same mechanics where, you level up, you get some stat bonuses. Once you hit a certain level, you can choose one of 4 class paths. Once you level up again, you can choose another class path, which is similar to Three Houses, but it really feels like Fire Emblem Light in the sense that there's not as much depth to a lot of it.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing here?
I think it's a good thing if you want to get into the genre. If you want to just like experiment with a turn-based, grid-based strategy RPG, very good entry. It's not super deep, not super complex. Story's pretty good. The mechanics make me, they make me want to continue doing a battle. But the reason that I say it's Fire Emblem Light primarily is because it goes from battle, some story, another battle, some story, another battle, some story. And there's no like exploration of the world in between that. And similarly, like even before Three Houses, Fire Emblem Awakening had a little bit of world map travel where you could go to certain locations and maybe grind up some money, for instance. This game doesn't have that. It's just story battle. And so that's why it's kind of like Fire Emblem Light. One thing that I really do like about it, which kind of speaks to more casual gamers, Fire Emblem has a reputation as being kind of difficult in part because it has permadeath. So if one of your units dies on the battlefield, at least in older games, they were gone forever. They were no longer present. Yeah. And losing a unit was a big deal because they could be very strong and then just gone forever. This one is a little different in that rather than being gone forever and being absent from the story, they're still around. They just have a permanent stat point loss.
Oh, wow.
And it's not something that's unrecoverable, but it'll cost you. So there is still an impetus not to just throw your units into unwinnable situations.
Interesting. So do you recommend someone like me who's never played this series before to jump in with Dark Deity, or should I start with another Fire Emblem game?
I mean, I think that this is certainly a good one for beginners to the genre because it doesn't really require too much previous knowledge of Fire Emblem lore, doesn't really require too much experience with the game. I'm playing on normal, and it's actually really easy. Like, I've lost a unit once or twice, but otherwise, similar strategies in Fire Emblem hard mode work here, and I haven't lost a battle yet at all. So,
okay, sounds good, man. And you're playing it on PC?
Yeah, currently playing it on PC. I believe it's on every major console.
All right, very cool. And I know you're going to be doing a written review for this and not a video review, correct?
Yes, indeed.
All right, and we'll have that up on our website, The Gaming Outsider, in the near future. But thanks so much for stopping by to talk to us about Dark Deity, man. That sounds like one that was right up your alley before you even played it. Just looked like one that you were going to love. Absolutely. I am a longtime fan of the genre in particular, and I do want to point out, I did a quick search. It does say that it's currently available on the Steam platform for Microsoft Windows without any other platforms listed, so probably just on Steam for now. Okay. Thanks for the clarification, man. And as always, it's a pleasure talking with you, man, and we hope you have a wonderful weekend. Yeah, you too. All right. Oh, by the way, where can everybody check out your other videos? Oh, well, if you want to see more video reviews, you can find them at youtube.com/relplays. That's RELLE plays. Awesome. Thanks again, man. We'll catch you next time, okay? All right. Later.
Hey there, Go community. My name is Nate Lucas, and I'm the producer for Gaming Outsider. Scott was unavailable to record our reviews for the episode this week, so he asked if I'd fill in. So, I'm glad to be here, and let's get right into our reviews. First, I'd like to welcome our guests, Kevin Honningford. How are you? Great, yourself? I'm okay. What have you been up to? Still new? Unpacking. Still unpacking? Well, making progress at least? Little by little. Okay. Hair by hair. Hey. I'm almost out. As long as it's a positive progression and not a negative progression, that's all we can ask for, right? Yeah, that's true. Excellent. We also have a second guest. I'd like to welcome Josh Ershman. How are you? I'm doing well. Well, it's a pleasure to meet you. I don't think I've officially spoken with you before, but this will be the first time. Yep. Tell me a little bit about yourself. I am an avid PC gamer. Usually when Scott wants to actually talk about real PC gaming, it comes to me. Not the Mac gaming crap, so. Oh,
Come on, there's some decent titles on Mac too.
Yeah, Minesweeper, that's probably about it.
Oh, all right. Well, you know what?
He's not wrong, honestly.
We're going to get straight to our reviews. Kevin, I'm going to actually talk to you first. First game we're going to talk about is Metal Unit by developer Jelly Snow Studio, and our code today was provided by NeoWiz. So we'd like to give them a shout out. Kevin, what is this game? Tell us about it.
It's an action platformer roguelike. It's quite fun. I've actually been playing on PC for a while now, and this just got ported to Switch. So I checked it out and just wanted to feel how it felt, what was different on there, and there's not a whole lot. It's a blast to play. It's kind of rudimentary as far as the graphics go, and as far as some of the controls are very almost too tight, to the point where it takes some getting used to. The jump, the up, down, left, right. But outside of that, it's a blast of a game. It's fun. It's action packed. A lot of shooting, a lot of melee combat.
Okay, so these are like guns and stuff like that, not using like bows or anything like that.
Nope. It's mostly guns. I mean, there are some rudimentary things. It's got a couple cool different. I don't want to say like currencies, because there are currencies that you can use to upgrade yourself, upgrade your abilities between runs and everything. But it uses a system where if you collect all of the items that ascertain to a certain role, like a warrior or a hunter, it unlocks another upgrade to your character that you can set each time. So one of them is a faster speed. One of them is you start with more hit points. One of them is you start with better armor. So it's like I said, it's a blast of a little game to play.
This sounds like it's pretty class oriented. So when you actually start, do you pick your class right off the bat, or is that something you kind of build into?
Well, no, I mean, maybe I was a little misleading with that. It's not class specific. It's like I say, each of those, there are item sets, and each item set, basically once you gain all the items for that item set, which I think there's like 8 of them, if I remember correctly, you unlock that perk from that item set.
Okay.
So, and you can equip you can equip 1 perk per run.
Oh, excellent. So if you want to go in through a run, or if you're having trouble through a run, I'm sure there are some levels where it'd be more beneficial to pick 1 perk over another, right?
Very much so, yes.
Okay, excellent.
And this is also...
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I was also just wanted to point out that this is another roguelike with a story element.
Okay.
Which are getting to be a little more common nowadays. This story is really, really good till you get to the end.
Oh.
But it is like throughout the whole thing, like I kept wanting to play and just run after run after run because I wanted to progress the story and see what was going to happen next.
Well, that sounds excellent. Hopefully, are there different endings? Do you know, or if it's going to be?
I've only gotten through 1.
Okay.
And then after that, it's a new game plus type deal. So I don't know if something changes after that, or I haven't gotten too far into that. I've only gotten through 1 run, which I got a really about the worst look of a draw you can get. So I didn't last long.
Okay. What about the atmosphere? Like, what do the levels look like? What do the characters look like? What can you tell me about the ambiance of the game, if you will?
It's a 16-bit. There are different worlds. There are different levels. So it's everything revolving around you is kind of mechanical. Let's just say mech type. The worlds, some of the monsters you face are organic. Some of the monsters you face are also mechs. So there's a different array. The first level is very. I want to reference like the old Mega Man games.
Okay.
It's very, grassy top, and then there are icy parts. The second world is all mostly like a lava-ish type deal.
Okay.
So yeah, it's quite pretty to play through, actually.
That sounds pretty awesome. It has a kickin' soundtrack to match, I'd imagine.
Yeah, it does. It's a very 80s soundtrack.
Yeah.
As soon as you boot it on, I can't think of what it was called, but you recognize the sound as soon as and it just immediately takes me back to my childhood.
Excellent. Well, it sounds like, aside from the ending, it sounds like you thoroughly enjoyed the game. What would you say? What would you recommend?
Very much so. If you're a fan of platform action or roguelikes just within themselves, definitely give this game a shot.
Awesome. Glad to hear it. Again, that is developer Jelly Snow Studio. The game is called Metal Unit. And another thank you for the code provided by NeoWiz. Josh, I didn't forget about you. You're up next. We are going to talk about Just Die Already by developer Curve Digital. And we'd like to thank Renaissance PR for providing a code. Josh, let me hear about it.
Just Die Already is a old person sandbox. Basically, you're an old timer. You're a baby boomer, and you get kicked out of you start out in a retirement home. You usually get kicked out pretty fast. I threw one of my nurses in a piranha cage, and she got eaten. She wasn't too happy. I beat one of the other people there with a giant wooden spoon I found, and I decapitated another person. They finally kicked me out. I was like, wow, man, that's pretty lenient there. It's from the people who made Goat Simulator.
This sounds absolutely delightful. So with that, I mean, it sounds like you've got a whole bunch of random nonsense that you can do.
Yeah,
is there any goal to it, or I mean, do you have any particular?
There's not really like a goal. You do get, it's called the bucket list, so like things you want to do before you die.
Okay,
I probably died at least 50 times already. There's just stuff like peeing on electric current, getting decapitated, shooting this many people, blowing up this many people.
This sounds awesome.
It's chaos. It kind of control when you get. So you can decapitate parts of, like, your arms can come off. You can actually walk around completely from the chest off. So you can just have your legs walk around as long as you don't lose too much blood. So you can just walk around as your legs. You can't grab anything, but you can just walk around with it. It kind of, if you played like Octodad, like how you kind of moved around kind of like really loose, like you don't have any bones in your body. Mm-hmm. That's kind of how you move around.
Okay.
It's kind of broken. I've hit a lot of glitches where I've glitched off the map or fallen off the map. It's very early in development. It's early access.
Do they inhibit gameplay at all? I mean, are they funny glitches or?
Yeah, they're funny glitches. I fell down a sewer drain and I thought I broke the game, but I went down there and there's like, in different sewer drains, there's like these mad scientists that have like experimental weapons down there. One of them had an octopus gun, and basically you shoot octopuses and like they go on people's head and their heads swell up and explode. I found all kinds of weapons and stuff that are just like completely crazy. There's security guards that walk around and like they don't arrest you, they beat the crap out of you until you die. So I found a Roman candle launcher last night and I took care of quite a few of them. There's just all kinds of random stuff that you can find. It's also co-op. The servers are extremely dead on Steam right now, but I'm guessing as more people pick it up and stuff, and as like I'm hoping a roadmap comes out soon that has like what they want to do, because there's several parts of the city. It's very large.
Okay.
It's all a lot of stuff is gated off. A lot of stuff has mines. You can play Human Frogger in here. There's a highway and the cars are always speeding by, so you can walk in front of traffic and die. So if you have a customer service job, this is a great job to play after it.
No, this sounds fantastic. It sounds like it's something you play casually, not seriously.
Yeah, short bursts. Definitely not something that you're going to sit there and play for 3 or 4 hours.
Okay.
You can play up to 4 people. I'm hoping once, like I said, more people get in stuff, more people be online to play it with. Right now, it's only $15, so it's not horrible.
Do you know if there's local co-op?
I don't know because I'm playing on PC.
Okay.
I'm guessing if you play on account, because I know it's coming to Xbox, Switch, and PlayStation. So I bet you there is local co-op on those, but on my PC it's just me. So, but you can play PvP and like kill each other and stuff like that.
That sounds amazing.
This actually sounds quite enjoyable. I think it would be enjoyable with multiple people in a chat room.
Oh, definitely. Like this is, I'm hoping, once they come up with a little more content, it's great because like there's tickets to find in the game, and that's how you go to vending machines and you purchase new things. Like, I bought a bumblebee grenade, and I walked into a sushi store and I chucked it at the cook as he was frying up like live fish. And then I broke his, I took an axe and I broke his cage that had crabs in it. And the crabs started like chopping people to bits with their claws because they're super sharp. And then the honey bee grenade blew up and like everyone was getting stung and people are dying and exploding left and right. I lost part of my limb. I was kind of bleeding out as I walked out of there.
Wow.
Well, you started by saying this game sounded broken, but I don't know. I think you've sold me. I mean, for $15, that sounds like, even if you only get like a night worth of entertainment, it's something to sit down with a couple buddies, have a couple drinks, and just do nonsensical things and just have a good time.
Yeah, I'm guessing the more drinks that you throw back, the more and more fun this game definitely would be.
Well, I'm sold. Would you recommend it?
Yeah, I would recommend it just because it's nonsense fun. I mean, I kind of like those type of games where you can just kind of go in and it's open sandbox. There's objectives technically with the bucket list. After you do so many items, it'll give you a ticket, and then you can go to vending machines and buy stuff. Like I said, you can buy weapons, you can buy other items. Apparently, you can strap a rocket to your back and jettison into space. So I haven't tried that yet.
That's cool. See, I generally don't like sandboxes, and I want to go buy this.
Yeah, this sounds wonderful. Again, this is Just Die Already by developer Curve Digital. Thank you again to Renaissance PR for that code. And Kevin, you are going to be doing a second game for us tonight. Second game is WarTales by developer Shiro Games, and we got our code provided by Stride PR, so a shout out to them. Thank you. Kevin, what's this one about?
This is we got a demo version. It is a very small demo, very light demo. I'm really excited to see what they do with this game. It's a turn-based game, a grid-based grid-formed turn-based game, much along the lines of Divinity, Original Sin games.
Okay.
But it's different at the same time. They don't really tell you much in this demo to get you started. They just kind of throw you out there and say, here you go, have at it. So you start out with a isometrical view of yourself on the world map, or I should say your group. Because that's one thing I thought was very strange about this is you control a group, but they are your companions. You are not a person in this group. So I'm not exactly sure how that plays into what they're doing. So you start with an isometric view of this group you're controlling, and you're out in the middle of basically nowhere. You traverse this map, and you can see other groups walking around. Okay. Some groups, some of them are merchants, and you kind of learn the hard way what's what, because like I said, they don't really tell you anything right now.
These are NPC groups.
Yes.
Okay.
But if you run into a group of like thugs or something that you're going to fight, once you hit them, the turn-based element takes over, and it puts you into, like I said, that grid-based platform, and each player gets a turn, and it is deterministic to where you can see when players on both sides are going to take their turns. You can pick which of your players, or companions I should say, are going to take their turn when it is your turn, but they are all set, the opponents. So you can see who's going to go when, and kind of take your time and figure out how you want to go about setting up your characters, and what actions you want to perform and when, and who you want to go where, so on and so forth. It is very much like a Dungeons and Dragons type scenario, only from what I've been able to figure out, the like attacks and defenses are all based on your weapons and armor. There's no dice rolls. Okay. So if your weapon has, if you use strength as your main stat, like a regular fighter does, your weapon has a 8 strength. That just influences that creates basically a set damage that you will inflict on whatever you attack.
Okay. Story-wise, what are we looking at here?
Right now, there is no story. Again, this is a very early demo. I mean, it basically, I think it's battle gated basically to where each time I played through, I fought like 5 or 6 different battles, no matter where I went, and then it would tell me that the game's over. So I explored as much of the map as I could in all the playthroughs. It looks like this is going to be a very large game. The world map, from what I could see, where it looks like they're putting stuff, is massive. And it's the only thing I will say, I don't know if this was intentional or if it's just something that they have to put in yet as they progress, but things like stealing items, because theft is an option. I don't think I succeeded once. I know I never succeeded once in like stealing an item, because you have to power up or level up your abilities.
Sure.
And I don't know if you just didn't get a chance here because it was so short, but so I never got to experience how that works. Each time my character, whoever I had do it, would fail, and they basically get thrown in jail right away. And you can either go buy them out, bail them out basically, or leave them and recruit someone else. As you go to these different towns, every once in a while there's someone there to recruit.
Okay. Like you said, this sounds very early development. From what you've played, though, the mechanics sound like they could use a few tweaks here and there, but overall it was, pretty successful or pretty thought out.
Yeah, like I said, I am really, really looking forward to what they do with this game. I mean, it's beautiful too. It's not groundbreaking graphics or anything, but it's just the way they did it is really pretty. It just like I really enjoyed just sitting down playing through the demo. I think I played through 6 or 7 times.
Did you have any like mini bosses or larger bosses in there?
There is, like, some of the quests you get at a notice board at a tavern would take you, it would say, well, you can go kill this guy because he's wanted for all these murders or something like that, or go defeat this bandit gang. And there, some of those, one of them I still have not defeated. They kill me every time.
So maybe
yeah, I think
grinding.
I would call those mini bosses. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, and that's probably all built with, having more time to go about and level yourself and all that fun jazz. But with it cutting me off at, like I said, after like 5 or 6 battles, I'm really, really looking forward to what they do with this game.
Okay. So, again, it sounds like it's early development, but what would you recommend it at this point, or at least for people to try out?
Yes, definitely. If you like turn-based games, especially like if you like the Divinity games, things along that line, this is definitely something you want to keep your eye on.
Okay, and which platform are you playing on this, by the way?
On PC. I got through Steam.
Well, excellent. Well, that again was WarTales. I'm sorry, that was developer Shiro Games. Again, thank you to Stride PR, and thank you to you, gentlemen, for joining us. I want to thank you for giving us some reviews. It was a pleasure meeting you, Josh. And Kevin.
Likewise.
Kevin, it's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Same here. Yeah.
All right, guys. Let's get out of here. You guys have a good night.
Yep. Take care, man.
All right. Yep. Peace.
Well, hello there, Mr. Chris Owens. How are you doing, sir?
Well, hello there, Mrs. Scott Clark. I am well. How are you?
Did you call me Mrs. Scott Clark?
I said Mr.
It sounded like Mrs. Anyway.
Selective hearing. You've been out of school. Your selective hearing has developed for summer months ahead of schedule.
Maybe that's the case. Man. It's been a long time since we had you on here, man. So it's good talking with you about games once again.
Yeah, about time, right? Likewise.
Yeah. And you've been playing a game for us called Arkan the Dog Adventurer from developer Medeo Studio. And we got to give a shout out to Sometimes You as the PR firm that hooked us up with this copy. I saw this trailer, and I love me some Arkanoid. Arkanoid has always been kind of like just a sit back and chill kind of game that I enjoy.
I always thought it was Arachnoid.
Really?
I was today years old when I realized it was Arkanoid.
Oh, really? I've never, Arkanoid. Anyway, this one looks like it combines Arkanoid or Brickbuster style games with platforming. Is that accurate?
It is, but it's definitely heavies the favor on the brick-ended side.
Okay. Tell me how that works.
Well, you play Arkan the dog, and I do find that ironic that that's the name of the hero when it's being so heavily compared to Arkanoid. So.
Yeah.
And it's a level by level game. If you recognize the format from a lot of mobile games that you go through X amount of levels, and Scott, you're going to love this. It does have 3-star rankings on each level. Nice. See, now you got to play it right there. That's your bread and butter.
Right.
And it walks you through pretty easy levels just so you kind of get the idea of the control scheme, because it's very odd. And I think in some areas very clanky because it's very heavy analog based, especially I play it on the Switch. Mm-hmm. And when you do it, when you jump, you hold up the left stick, and in variations of moving the left stick, you can do a double jump, you can jump higher. There is some button control when you're actually launching the projectile towards the bricks and towards the enemies that you're clearing on the board.
No, wait a minute. I just want to make sure I got this right, because it's like an Arkanoid style game, but you're not controlling a paddle. You're controlling a
the hero is the paddle, and it's the hero. Yes, and it's the hero is the paddle in that case. You pretty much nailed it.
Okay.
And when
just to be clear, too, this is a left to right Arkanoid game instead of a vertical.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. Okay. But the unique part about that is the progress of the platforming of the level. You can only go so far over, because the idea is to use your projectile, the ball, basically, to clear the bricks, of course, and also clear the enemies on the screen. And the enemies are really what you're trying to knock out. And there are some cycloptic orb type beasts, to those that produce electricity, to those that produce pagan-like portals that you can't cross, otherwise you get hit. And you have a certain amount of hits before you die, and that's how you clear the levels. And based on how you clear those levels and how long it takes you and how much you collect other items in the level to increase your ranking is how you finish 1, 2, or 3 stars. And in this game,
so when you hit the ball, do you just have to like basically make your character jump and run into the ball, or do you catch it and throw it?
You actually hold it when you start, and you hit a button to launch the ball.
Okay.
And then it bounces around unless it comes back at you, where you can actually paddle it back towards the field, back towards the bricks and back towards the enemies. And the more you hit it, the more powerful it gets, because it's after 5 or 6 hits, it becomes a monster ball, a massive energy ball. And if I'm not mistaken, and my powers don't perceive me, is that the ball gains twice its strength. So clearing bricks and killing enemies, however hit points it takes less, because you have a monster ball that you're hitting. And you keep up that consistency to keep that power with you.
So are you aiming the ball when you paddle it, or is it kind of like an Arkanoid where it depends on where it hits your character on its body, what direction it's going to take?
See, that's where you really have to get skilled at the controls, and where it can get clunky. At least I thought it was clunky, because I thought the analog stick, because you use both sticks in this game, the left stick to move and jump your hero, and the right stick to basically aim at full 180 degrees in front of you as to where to aim this ball. And sometimes it's very sensitive to one area, sometimes it doesn't spin down around, so that's a little odd. But the strategy of it, that's what's so unique about it, is that you can jump and hit it and aim at the same time. And sometimes I match the button so much, I actually end up hitting it twice and going in 2 different directions simultaneously.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it's very hard to, in my opinion, very hard to master how you move around and also control that projectile so that you can complete each level.
Okay. Are you enjoying it though? You recommend it?
It gets intense very quickly. So because at first it's a bit of a slog, because you're learning the controls, and I was kind of standing there looking at it. Boy, this is really slow, because you're kind of watching the ball go around, and it's very not descriptive as to. It does give you tips, like says, "Hey, move up to jump," but you don't. You kind of play with it a little bit to figure it out, and then you're like, "Oh, hey, by the way," later on. So it's the learning curve is somewhat ahead of what the game informs you on. But once you get past
that,
sounds
pretty interesting, though. I mean, this is a $4.99 game. This is $4.99, real cheap. And I love me some Arkanoid. Should I check this out, or should I just go play more Arkanoid?
You had to have some patience, but yes, once you get past, I'd say the first 10 levels, the intensity ramps up big time.
All right.
Because then you get those harder enemies, you get larger enemies, you get ones that start throwing projectiles at you very quickly, and it's perfect aim, so wherever you're standing is exactly where you're shooting. Think of Mega Man, think of those runs we did, and those projectiles, when you're standing there, that's where they're moving, and you are constantly moving. There's even a teleport move that you use to try to get out of the way, slow motion. It gets very intense very quickly. I was playing in handheld, and I found myself focused once I got past like the slog levels, as I'm putting it, to really the meat and potatoes of the action. It was difficult to put it down.
Okay. Again, that is Arkan, the Dog Adventurer. Chris, really good talking with you, man, and I appreciate you checking this one out for us.
Absolutely.
All right, man. Well, you have a good one, all right?
You too, man.
Talk to you soon.
Yep.
Well, hey there, Thomas. Long time no see. How you been, sir?
Hey, Scott. Well, it's a crazy time right now. The Euros are going on. Ireland is slowly crawling out of the pandemic. And it's weird. It's summer, so it's 14 degrees outside. It's so much fun.
It is. I know, 14 degrees. You got to remember, most of us here still use Fahrenheit. So when you say it's 14 degrees, that sounds like sub-zero temperatures, but it's in Celsius. That's a good amount there. So
no, not really. Not really. It's cold.
14 degrees Celsius is cold?
For the time of year, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're used to.
Gotcha.
It should be like 18 to 20, at least.
Ah, okay.
But yeah, we'll see. Well, it's Ireland, so it's
here
mostly terrain anyway.
You're here to talk to us about a game called Backbone that I have been seeing a lot of positive things about. This is a point-and-click adventure, obviously, which is your wheelhouse for sure. But I got to admit, even just the look of this one makes me want to play it. Can you tell everybody what that they can expect visually on this one?
Yeah, so Backbone is a point-and-click adventure game with truly, truly beautiful pixel art.
Mm-hmm.
It is a anthropomorphized animal game, which is a really big subgenre in adventure gaming nowadays. And it's also a detective game, which is also a really nice subgenre. And it creates its own subgenre of the anthropomorphized animal detective adventure game. Yes, that is a thing.
Yes. I know Alyssa reviewed Chicken Police for us, which I know wasn't...
Inspector Waffles,
kind of yeah.
This one, there are multiple ones in the past as well. It's awesome because it's really a cool subgenre. And in Backbone, you are a raccoon, and it's really a noir. I've been playing a lot of cyberpunk games lately, but this one is an actual noir. So you are
right.
not just any raccoon, you are a raccoon in a raincoat, because it's a noir. And they call it a post-noir narrative adventure. And you play Private Eye Howard Lotor. And it's sort of a dystopian Vancouver. But it's really very different than what we are used to. There's a lot of details here that the ruling class are gorillas, for instance, and I think the mafia are mostly bears, and there's like a whole hierarchy in the city, and needless to say, you are not part of the top hierarchy, you are very low, but you get hired to find out what happened to a certain person, and the more you start looking into that, as a good noir always is, the more trash comes up, and it turns out to be a conspiracy that goes a lot deeper than just a murder or a missing person.
That sounds kind of interesting, actually. And I gotta admit, I'm Chicken Police. Alyssa really made me want to play Chicken Police.
I want to play Chicken Police too.
But this one looks, it's got that same vibe, but it's got that old school graphical style. Like it reminds me of how I remember games like Monkey Island and Loom looking like, although I know they're much dated now, or outdated, but I think it looks great.
They use two distinctive styles. The gameplay style, which is pure pixel art, really, really well done. I can't stress how beautiful this game is. And then you have like cutscenes that sometimes do have a bit of dialogue that are done in a more animated style. Not like it's very animated or anything, but it's more a painterly style. So those are the two styles they use. The music is great. It really emanates that noir feel. But this is actually quite a divisive game. And to try to explain it, have you seen the movie From Dusk Till Dawn?
I have.
Okay. For spoiler warning for a 25-year-old movie, From Dusk Till Dawn starts as a crime movie with two serial killers on the run who kidnap, basically hold hostage a family. They drive that family's truck to a hideout at a border bar called the Titty Twister, and it's about halfway during the movie, and then the movie changes from a crime noir into a vampire movie. Completely within a couple of minutes, completely turns on its head.
And I didn't know that the first time I watched that movie. I just went into it
That makes it even better.
Crazy.
Well,
yeah.
This game also pulls a sort of a genre twist. Like halfway through, it completely changes in genre. And
in a good way? Or did you find it distracting?
There will be people who find it fantastic. There will be people who hate it. I don't think there is an in-between. What I found, I was quite surprised by it. I did not see it coming, the way it changes. And I was intrigued, but also a bit disappointed by it, because the game sets up a lot of interesting things in its world, in the world building in the first half, and it doesn't really pay off those ideas in the second half. Instead, it becomes more like almost like a Disco Elysium existential-esque exploration of certain things, which is cool enough itself, but it's not something I was expecting here, and a lot of people have an issue with that. There are also a lot of people who love it. So as I said, this game is quite divisive. It also
Which side do you land on? Because I know you love Disco Elysium.
I love Disco Elysium, but Disco Elysium is a certain thing all the way through, from beginning to end.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one thing from the beginning and a completely different thing at the end.
Gotcha.
And that does not sit well with everyone. If you look at the online reviews.
See, that intrigues me. That makes me want to play the game even more, just to see what that surprise is.
And you should. I would still definitely recommend this game because it's beautiful. And it doesn't have that many puzzles. Like, it's way more narrative driven, dialogue driven than it is necessarily puzzle driven. There is also a bit of stealth involved every now and then. It is basically you go from left to right in all the or from right to left, whatever. It's not like that's the way you walk around. You interact with mostly with people, sometimes with things. The gameplay is pretty straightforward. It's not that difficult. But I think the most divisive thing is that gigantic change of genre halfway through the game. I think I would have preferred for it to stick to the genre that it started in, because I really dig the first half, and I was just confused and surprised by the second half. I would definitely still recommend this game. It is not a long game. It took me about 5 hours to complete, but I would recommend to wait for a sale.
Okay.
It is clearly designed and created, developed developer Acknot, incredibly talented developer, and I hope their next game shows more of that promise, because they show a lot of promise with what they've pulled off here. But it feels a bit unfinished, like as if they had a lot of ideas but did not have the funds to completely do what they set out to do.
Okay.
There's a lot of, but you have to compliment it for taking a huge swing. And whether it's a home run or not depends on what you feel of how the game proceeds halfway through. There will be people who, there will be people who will consider this a home run. There will be people who will consider this a foul ball.
Gotcha. That is Backbone from, again, developer Eggnut, and it was provided to us by Raw Fury. So thank you for giving Thomas the opportunity there. Really appreciate you taking the time, Thomas. You have a wonderful rest of your day, sir, okay?
Yeah, you too. And if you're interested in the best that real football has to offer, I would recommend start watching the Euros, because the group of 16, round of 16 has started. My team, the Netherlands, is still in it. We are playing the Czech Republic next. And there are some bangers of matches coming up. So if you're into sports, really, really check out these matches. England, Germany is one we're going to get. Belgium, Portugal is going to be amazing. So watch the Euros. If you're not watching the Euros, play some fun games. And give Scott a hug if you see him.
I appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you later.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks long list of people who played those games for us this week. Just before we move on, we do have a Facebook group. You can join as well over at facebook.com/group/thegocast. A lot of I'm told there's a lot of conversation that happens there. I personally wouldn't know, because I refuse to sell my soul to that particular devil. We also have a Discord that you can find on thegamingoutsider.com. Everybody's always welcome there. There I do have conversations with people, because that one's okay for now. Who knows? Eventually they'll want my address or something. If you could leave us a review on iTunes, and of course help us out with the magical Apple algorithm that helps us gets found. It's weird because every podcast always begs you to review, but it really does help. Like, it really, for whatever sick reason, you have to have reviews to be seen on Apple Podcasts. But we are not just a podcast. We are also a written website where we post plenty of reviews, lots of stuff up on the site right now, including my review of DC Superhero Girls Team Power, and Jacob Gunnarson's review of Monster Hunter Rise, and I think a bunch of stuff from Alyssa, probably. I think both your Trufflepigs and Tender reviews are on the site.
They're both live, and you can read those reviews if you want to. Absolutely.
And then there's always more getting put up there, guys, so be sure to check out our website as well. But without further ado, let's jump in to the From the Outside In topic. This week, because good old Scott Clark is not here, who we refer to as though he's gone on to a better world, we can now let out our inner otaku and talk about some anime-based video games.
Which, by the way, I understood this assignment. You guys cannot see it, but I'm wearing a Demon Slayer shirt, Fruits Basket pants, and I have a Fruits Basket tattoo.
Okay,
and CB got the assignment too.
Well, I'm wearing a plaid button-up, so now I feel overdressed. Just gonna go grab my Nier t-shirt from the drawer over there. One of my several, of course. But whether or not you partake in the medium itself, you'd be hard-pressed not to have played at least some game based on or influenced by a major anime. First of all, Alyssa, remind me to see your Fruits Baskets tattoo after this. But
yeah.
I know you guys both watch definitely more anime than me, I would say. So how into anime are you guys? Would you say you're diehard fans? You guys can't be casual scrubs. There's no way.
I'm definitely not casual.
You guys are wearing gear, man.
Well, I mean, I'm just wearing some Japanese gear. I mean,
yeah, that's fair.
But anyway. I'm definitely not a casual fan of anime, but I'm not like a super diehard. I will dabble in multiple like sects of anime, but not. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, I know every single character from this anime ever.
Right. That would be insane. What about
there are people?
Well, yeah, I know you're really into Darker Than Black, right? You're always recommending
Darker
that
Than
to
Black
me.
is one of my favorites, short series, but like my favorite is still Neon Genesis.
Yeah,
which I've probably watched through at least 10 times.
Which I need to watch because Yogotaro,
I
my
do
Lord
too.
Savior, cites as one of his major influences in storytelling.
Which, if that's the case, I'm surprised you haven't. It's only 24 episodes, man.
Yeah,
That's
I don't know. I liked the pilot was weirder than I was expecting, I guess.
Okay, well, hang on. Which version are you watching? Are you watching the end of Evangelion, like the redone version, or the one on Netflix, or the Platinum editions?
I watched a less than legal copy more than several years ago now, so I presume it was the real.
It was probably the
real deal,
originals,
and it was.
So
I think I just wasn't ready for. I know it was supposed to be, weird, but I thought that it was going to come towards the tail end, so it was just kind of a little. I thought it was going to start off just random mech anime, but then like things are exploding into cross shapes right away. I'm like, oh, there's a lot going on here. So I think I just had to go with a better mindset, and apparently avoid the Netflix version, which I've heard from just about everybody.
Oh yeah, I've heard.
Yeah.
Don't watch it.
It's definitely a series that punches you straight in the face and says, you're going to figure this out later.
Yeah, I just don't think I was ready for that. That's all. I'll get there.
But I mean, yeah, I've dabbled on a little. I think one of the first animes I ever saw was Akira.
Oh, Akira. I love it.
Yep. Akira, Ghost in the Shell.
Love
Great.
Ghost in the Shell.
Robotech was
also great.
A lot.
Tons of good Robotech games.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I can think of one actually, but it was great.
Yeah. Robotech, what is it? Battle Cry?
Yeah. GameCube.
Yeah, I know, man.
That's a good one. What?
But yeah, I've definitely perused a lot over the years, and I mean, even both my kids have watched even some like Miyazaki.
Oh,
Sure.
he's the master.
Yeah, I think
So
Ghibli's that's as casual as it gets, right?
yeah. Well, some of it is.
I don't want to.
I mean, if you watch Grave of the Fireflies.
No,
or the Wind Rises.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
I just feel like
that's another one.
Did you know, CB,
Okay.
The Wind Rises? Sorry,
No,
Zach.
no,
Just a fun
please.
fact. I went into a Hayao Miyazaki kick and watched all of his documentaries earlier this year, but he revealed that in the Japanese language version, with the original version of The Wind Rises, for the character, I can't remember the male character's name, he wanted Hideaki Anno, who is the creator of Evangelion, and he voiced the title character in the Japanese language version.
Oh,
What an interesting
still
connection.
my heart.
I know.
It's funny because you guys say Miyazaki, I immediately think of Hidetaka Miyazaki from Dark Souls and Bloodborne
yeah.
fame. But I understand the other one is far more famous. I was just gonna say, I'm not an anime elitist. It's just sometimes you're talking to people and they're like, no, I don't watch anime. Well, except for Studio Ghibli. I feel like that's the pass.
I mean, growing up, like as like I was growing up, I always remember one of my first big forays into it was Saturday mornings, Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, wait. Mine was Toonami.
Yeah, Toonami. Is that thing still kicking?
It is.
Okay.
I don't know. I know they show like Attack on Titan and I believe Promise Neverland, which I've heard the second season's just blah.
I heard it's horrendous.
They show stuff like that. It's not the same as it used to be, but still going.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a wide foray of anime out there. I mean, the great thing is there's a little bit of something for everyone.
There really is.
What about you, Alyssa? Are you how much are you into this
I
world?
pretty much watch 1 or 2 episodes a night,
Oh.
Some nights I skip it. I just go show to show to show.
So you can't juggle multiple games, but you sure can juggle multiple anime.
Oh, I can only watch one show at a time. Like I have to watch every single episode and then go to another show once I finish. But I love it. I don't know how many series I've actually watched in the past year. A lot. Right now I'm watching Akudama Drive, which is it's building steam. But I did start out very young watching anime because my uncle would, show me, he would record VHS tapes of Toonami, and there'd be Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball Z, and then I started watching Yu-Gi-Oh! Didn't watch too much Digimon.
You didn't watch Digimon?
No. I loved Pokemon, but Digimon, I don't know.
I was definitely a Digimon kid.
Yeah. I loved Cardcaptor Sakura.
Oh, really? Dude, I was a huge fan of Cardcaptor Sakura when I was younger.
Oh, I loved it.
But I was always, I was a young boy, so I was always afraid to try to share it with anybody when I was a kid. But I did like that show a lot.
Just like Sailor Moon, like that was considered a girl show way back then.
I watched it.
It's so good.
Okay, I'm older now, guys. Okay, all right. It's a different world now.
Whatever you want.
Yeah, I'm a different man now. I was 7. All right, cut me some slack.
I get it. Yeah.
I mean,
now, I do have a listener comment that is slightly relevant to this.
Okay. I think I have a similar
one. Kevin Honigford, he says, "Man, this is a topic that is definitely not for me. These art styles are generally a big turnoff for me. For instance, I love the Dragon Quest games, but for some reason the aesthetic makes it really hard for me to stay interested through the game. It's not something I can explain. I just really wish it weren't this way, but I've tried time and time again for that kind of art style, but I just can't." And again, I will say, like, anime is not for, well, not all anime is for everyone. It took me a while to get into it, so there are a few out there. Like Alyssa and I, we both will dabble in multiple styles.
Oh yeah.
But I wanted to get his comment out there because then I'm kind of curious, Zach, like where do you stand?
Well, what's interesting is I don't feel like I watch a ton of anime. When I do get into an anime, I do tend to love it. But it's just, well, what's interesting about Kevin's comment is the aesthetic of anime I actually find incredibly appealing. It draws my eyes to video games that probably would not otherwise get my attention just because I do like that anime aesthetic, especially when you translate into 3D. I just think there's something so sharp about it. Like Dragon Quest specifically is a franchise I've never played, but I just I every time I see a trailer for it, my mouth just waters. It just looks so cool. So for whatever reason, the general aesthetic of anime that's not Attack on Titan, because I can't stand that art style. But for anything else, I find it incredibly appealing, actually.
Now, what part of the Attack on Titan don't you like? Because when I look at the majority of the characters in it, it looks fine. It's like the Titans themselves that I'm kind of like,
There's something about this is going to sound ridiculous as a comic book fan, but there's something about the thicker line work that Attack on Titan has compared to most anime that I find kind of distracting, which is again weird because like whenever they use like comic book inking style on a video game or whatever, I salivate. But it's just there's something about it, and the characters, I don't know. There's a way the characters move against the background that I find distracting as well. I'm told it gets better after season 1, but I don't know. It's the only time I could think of. Well, outside of Green Lantern, the animated series, which I actually also don't like the art style of, but it's the only show I can think of where like the art style just made me want to stop. Like it made me stop watching. Like, it just found it too distracting. Green Lantern, I obviously pushed back for personal reasons, but it's just something about.
Okay.
No,
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, just Attack on Titan. I hear the story's great, and what I'm hearing is happening in this final season actually makes me more interested to watch it than anything else.
I do love Attack on Titan. The story is great. But I was going to say, I love the anime art style too, for the most part. I will say, if you have seen The Way of the House Husband on Netflix, that is awful. It just, they pretty much made it look like a comic book. Like there's no movement. There's no movement at all in this series. So it's just, I'm like, oh, it could have been so much better. But really, I don't have an issue with the art style of anime. I know some people do. That's okay. I think it's really beautiful. Besides Way of House Husband. Just felt lazy.
Wow. Shots fired. But
I did like the story of it. I just didn't like the art style. Just
the look of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess for me, anime more generally, you know, I don't apparently watch nearly as much as y'all. And I always feel like such a casual, because Cowboy Bebop is definitely my favorite anime.
Oh, I love Cowboy Bebop.
I think that's
nothing wrong with that.
I think that's one of the greatest shows ever made, period. Like, I think
it is
an immaculate 26 episode story. Like, it's just perfect. There's not a wasted minute in Cowboy Bebop to me. It's phenomenal. And
I mean, it wraps up. Yeah. I mean, oh, so good.
The final shot, the final line, perfect. It's just, I think it just transcends. It's just so good. But you know, I am up to date on My Hero Academia, just because it's Japanese X-Men, right? Like, it's just, there's no getting around it.
I've never watched it, but you just said Japanese X-Men.
Oh,
so now I feel like I gotta watch it.
The vibe I was getting the whole time I watched that show is that it's Japanese X-Men. So I think it's worth checking out for that alone. I mean, like, their powers are called quirks or whatever. Just immediately I think of the X gene, because it activates in them and they get a specific power and stuff. I don't know. It's cool. I don't think it doesn't have like a lot of heavy stakes, but I don't think it's interested to either. So you just kind of accept that it's, you know, a kind of a lighter shonen anime. I think, but Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, I think, is something truly special as well. That is a show where I'm not a big binge watcher, but that was a show I binged, so I just couldn't stop. It was great. And then Made in Abyss is a personal favorite of mine, but that's still ongoing. I think I read more manga than I do watch anime. I like manga a lot. I worship the very ground Berserk walks upon. You know, I always claim Nier's the greatest story ever told, but Berserk is the second greatest story ever told. I think Berserk is. They've never gotten it right in anime either. Like, the 97 anime is okay, it was obviously low budget, and then those movies they made were okay, but I felt like they treated the tone a little weird, because I don't know, they were just a little flippant with some pretty dark stuff, I thought. And then that recent 3D animated show was just miserable to suffer through. So, so I guess I like manga more. Like, I just checked out some more manga from the library. I just like Japanese comic books, of course. It's just something I like about, I guess, I don't know. I control my problem for anime. Here we go. And I don't know if this is, but there's something about the way dialogue is spoken in Japanese. And I know it's a cultural difference, where in America you hear something and to acknowledge you've heard it, you just go, okay, or heard or whatever. But in Japan, and this is, you know, it's like such a joke of Metal Gear Solid, right? Where Snake's always asking the last thing that he hears or whatever. I guess in Japan, the way you speak, you confirm, instead of saying okay, you go like, oh, a cardboard box. Like, you ask them the last thing they said or whatever. And it's just, for some reason, so grating on me. And anime, I think, already has a problem where an episode of anime is like 2 minutes of recap, 3 minutes of a musical intro, and then the characters talk, they do a thing, and then they talk about the thing that they just did, and then a surprise ending twist, and then a musical outro. And I'm like, I feel like I got 10 minutes of story every 22 minutes of anime I watch, for the most part. I do think, like, My Hero Academia, I think, is occasionally pretty guilty of that, but there are shows like Full Metal Alchemist I don't think really waste any time. I just think there's a lot of wasted time in anime, generally.
Fair enough. I mean, I could definitely see that with the larger series that like run 100+ episodes. But when you have the smaller series that are like 36 episodes or less, I don't really feel that as a problem.
That's probably fair, right? Like most of the Death Note, until they can make a certain character death decision, is a pretty great watch.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then they kind of ruin it, and then they make a tremendous Netflix show or movie, of course, that everyone loves. That was a joke. That's a joke. It's it's not. You guys looked at me like I just offended anime itself. That movie, perfect. Willem Dafoe.
They've done 2 of those now.
Willem Dafoe as Riek is perfect. Everything else is garbage.
True.
Like that, the manga and anime works so well because Light is pretty irredeemable by the end, But then that movie, they try to make him like a hero. I'm like, no. He starts off with good intentions.
He ends evil.
Right. The road to hell is paved with good intentions, right? But I did want to quickly comment from Thomas Bex here. He said, generally, I do not like the JRPG style in games. It actively turns me off to play games that have that aesthetic. I have yet to try a Final Fantasy, although the current style I like more than the kawaii of older games, which I'm surprised he knows the word kawaii for hating this. He says, I also don't watch or have ever watched shows like Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z, My Hero Academia, etc. The only anime I touch, whether it's games, manga, or TV, is Studio Ghibli. I can't handle another fandom. Thomas, you get out of here. You grump. Go back to Grumpville. And just...
It is okay, Thomas. I still love you.
I still love you too, Thomas.
Well, yes, of course. We all love Thomas. He's just residing in Grumpville. I just... don't write it off. If Thomas, watch Cowboy Bebop, and if you don't like it, then you're truly, the medium is dead to you. But I think that's the most accessible to what it sounds like your sensibilities are. I think Cowboy Bebop would be a win.
Oh yeah, like if you like,
yeah.
I don't know if he's watched Firefly. You can definitely tell there's some inspiration in Firefly from Cowboy Bebop.
Definitely,
it's just a space western, and it's so good. The characters. Oh my gosh.
With just like one of the best soundtracks ever.
It's incredible.
It's so good. I guess I did Dragon Ball Z I did watch all of a few times in my life, actually. And I don't like deeply love it, but there's just something comforting in Dragon Ball Z. Probably because it's the basis upon which all other shonen anime is based, so it's just like, this is very familiar. This is very safe and easy to watch.
Which I do notice there's this assumption that most anime is either shonen or shoujo, but it encompasses so many different genres. There's some really dark anime. There's fantasy, which is isekai. There's sports anime. I mean, there's so much.
Right.
It's not just for teen boys, teen girls, or just that kind of style. And a lot of people assume it's just for children, which. Don't show your children Death Note or Attack on Titan or something like that. Please don't.
There are far worse things in the anime world.
Oh, yeah.
Than either one of those.
I will say, when Japanese storytellers get dark and weird, that is really like the best storytelling in the world to me.
Okay. Have either of you seen Parasite the Maxim?
No.
It is one of my favorites. You can watch it on Netflix. It's wonderful. It's dark. It's weird. Highly recommend it.
Like Berserk is like the personification of dark and weird to me. I
still need to watch. I want to watch that.
I highly recommend the manga, but
I want to read it too.
So, yeah, that's good. But I guess we should actually probably talk about video games here on the Video Game Podcast at some point.
This is not the anime outside.
Right, although we had a brief little segment. So what are some of your guys' favorite video game adaptations of animes thus far in the world? Alyssa, how about we start with you?
I haven't really played many adaptations because most of them are from from series I don't watch. Even like Pokemon, like the game came out in Japan.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I apologize, but have they seriously not made a Fruits Basket game at this point?
They have not, and I do not want them to. There's no way this could be a game.
I'm surprised they didn't like knock out a mobile game or anything. Like it seems like a
Please don't do a mobile game.
a little gotcha where you get your little cat boys or whatever.
There's one cat boy, okay.
Well, yeah, but isn't he? He's the main...
I mean, I could see a gotcha game of it.
Yeah,
but I don't want there to be. But I mean, I am looking forward to the Demon Slayer game coming out.
Yeah, is that a fighting game?
It's an arena fighter.
Gosh darn it.
Which I usually don't play those, but for this one, I'll make an exception.
I think that's my large problem with anime games is that they tend to be fighting games, and I don't care.
There's so many fighting games. And there's some that could be translated to, an RPG or something of that nature.
I would have thought Demon Slayer,
with the fighting game route.
Demon Slayer would have made a great like Zelda knockoff kind of thing.
They could have done that. I don't know why they went with the fighting game genre for it.
I guess it's safe.
I mean, it is full of, I guess boss battles, as you call them in the series, but I mean, it could have been an RPG, it could have been just an action game. They could have done a lot with it besides just fight.
Right. So you don't really have any, is what you're saying.
Not at the moment, but if anyone has recommendations for a great one that, maybe I can get into the anime as well, definitely let me know.
All right.
Okay. I can. We'll swing back around to it because I've got a few.
Okay.
Well, you got a few favorites, you're saying, or recommendations? You mean?
I've got a few recommendations.
Well, I see they'll come up. What are some of your favorites?
Well, the Ghost in the Shell game on PS1 was a third-person shooter.
On PS1?
The dot hack game. Yeah,
totally missed it. Yeah, okay. I know they did like a PS2 game, or maybe I'm just thinking of Oni. Who knows?
There's been a couple Ghost in the Shell games. I know the PS1 game, it was okay. The dot hack games. If you actually find the full versions, there's an anime disc that comes with it to solve some of the stuff in the game that you have to watch the anime.
I would say that was a weird one because it was like simultaneous, right? It was a game and an anime at the same time.
Yep. It was a unique formula. They are getting pretty pricey though.
Oh, so, yeah.
God, there's the Dynasty Warrior Gundams games.
Really?
Those are always a fun. Dude, I love them. You know me and Max, man.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
So
touche.
I'm actually sad because I don't have a copy of it, but one of my friends does. But there is a Neon Genesis Evangelion game.
I did not know that.
Nintendo 64, only released in Japan.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And basically, you get to it's a Street Fighter like style fighting game, but you can be in the mechs and fight the angels from that series.
Are you aware? I'm sure you are. This is a dumb question, but are you aware of Robot Alchemic Drive on PS2?
No,
Ooh, maybe not. Well, it was called Rad, Robot Alchemic Drive.
I was going to say it's rad.
Yeah, that was intentional, but it was a mech fighting game where you fight, giant monsters, almost like Godzilla monsters or other mechs. But you played as a character on the ground who had like a controller to control the giant robot. So you would have to roam around the city and get like a good vantage point to watch your mech while it did combat with the enemy. And then like if you get knocked into a building or whatever, so like you have to move position and like it's all happening around you. It was so freaking cool. That's probably another game that's just prohibitively expensive, I imagine. But that sounds like you would love the hell out of that game.
Oh yeah. I mean, the funny thing is my first foray into mech games was Zone of Enders.
Anime as hell.
And I love Zone of Enders.
We're going back to Kojima.
Yeah.
I know.
He actually owns this podcast. I'm going to tear my face off. You guys will see I'm Kojima the whole time.
Oh!
Would not be surprised in the
I wouldn't
least.
either.
Yeah.
What if I'm Kojima and I don't even realize it?
Oh, I also would not be surprised. He's capable of anything.
He does everything. So, but yeah, I've dabbled the jump game.
Jump Force?
It was Jump Force. Yeah, where they basically mash like all the different shonen characters into the same game. I played it for a little bit. It was entertaining. It got old quick though because I hated the hub world for it. But yeah, I mean that's worth a check through. All the Dragon Ball Z games, especially like Kakarot. Oh, mwah.
One of my favorite anime adaptations is Dragon Ball Z: The Legacy of Goku, which was a very Zelda-inspired game about. See, I think it was 2 games that were about Goku's like adventure. You just played through Dragon Ball Z, but in a top-down dungeon puzzler sort of way. It was really cool because he had to use a Kamehameha wave, or I think you could borrow like Destructo Disc from Krillin to like get through areas and stuff. It was really, really cool and very creative. And I thought that was a unique way to do Dragon Ball Z. I think Kakarot's the closest I'll ever get to that again.
Probably.
Yeah. Was that about it for you, CB? I don't want to step on your toes here.
No. I mean, I'm more interested in what we're going to get to here in a few minutes.
All right, well, I'll just Com Cody wrote in probably the Sword Art Online games I enjoy, but as much as I hate them, since they are so long, Sword Art Online games always seemed very appealing to me because the first season of Sword Art Online is awesome, and then immediately goes off the rail afterwards. And I would, and the Sword Art Online game, I know like the PSP ones just totally ignore a lot of the other stuff, and they're like in a weird parallel universe where your character can date any girl instead of the woman he marries or what have you. It just, I don't know. It sounds appealing, but then you look up howlongtobeat.com and they're like each 90 hours. And I'm like, nope, I'm out. Gone.
Yeah, I started playing Fatal Bullet.
Yeah, I think that's based on season 3.
Yeah. And I started playing it and I'm like, nope, I'm out. I wanted to play the first season.
That's the right season.
I know it. I checked out like 4 episodes into season 2.
Wait, yeah, it got a little, R-rated, I guess, in some dumb ways though. And then like Kirito, the main character's sister, had a crush on him. It went off the rails, and I was like, I'm out.
His sister had a crush on him.
That's not that. Oh, I guess it's usually like adopted siblings, right? That's kind of an anime trope where adopted siblings have feelings for each other.
It's a trope in anime, but I'm like, why is it a trope?
But I think it's weird in Kirito's case because I think it is his actual sister.
It is.
Yeah. So which makes it, because usually they have the step thing where you're like, well, this is weird, but okay. But like in this case, you're just like, what are you doing? Why are you spending so much time on this plot line? This is weird. And it's just, and then also just the hook of getting trapped in a VR game. The second time you do it, you're just like, well, this is dumb. Why would you ever play a VR game again?
Because it's so much fun.
Dumb. Anyway, the Legacy of Goku games for me. I can't. There were a couple of Naruto games made by Ubisoft that I loved actually quite dearly. In that I don't really care about Naruto, but they were basically anime Assassin's Creed because they had an open world. You could roam around and you could use different ninjutsu to like get around gear gated style. Like, one ability let you run up walls and stuff so you could explore more of the city. And then all the combat encounters were a 2D fighting game, which was kind of a neat hook, even though I don't like fighting games. It was a nice way to spice up a normal combat pattern. And it was just cool, but it only took you through like 2 or 3 arcs of the anime, and then they did a sequel which was also very good, and then I guess they must have lost the license or something. But those 2 games were great. Naruto Rise of a Ninja was the first one, but I can't remember the name of the second one. But I wish we had more games kind of along those lines because I like the aesthetic of anime, and I just can't I just can't do it with the fighting games. I know they did a One Piece game that looked like it was Metal Gear Solid 5, but I also really don't. I also despise the main character of One Piece, so I'm not sure if I'll ever give that a shot. He's the worst. Just the worst.
I can't comment. I've never watched that.
I haven't
show,
watched it either.
so.
I just know Luffy.
Oh man, I used to read because I used to buy Shonen Jump Weekly, which I'm sure you guys are familiar with. And then the One Piece was the manga I would always skip. Just couldn't stand it. But now to the question, you guys are probably actually excited. What shows a need to have their own video game adaptation? What do you think, CB?
First off, I want to start with a listener comment because I read this and immediately was just like, I'm an idiot for not thinking of this. Rob Matthew from our Facebook group. Maybe it's not Japanese. Keep in mind, not all anime is Japanese, so I will count this. But we need a solid Thundercats game.
Oh!
And oh my god, you're right. Because I love Thundercats. It is...
Yeah, that seems...
Though it does have one of the greatest bait-and-switch animations you'll ever see. Because if you watch the intro to Thundercats, it doesn't look anything like the show.
Right, they put all their budget into the intro.
Yeah, but I still love the series. Man, for me though, I would love a Neon Genesis game, but a new one, not a fighting game.
That's the wrong genre from what I hear that show is about.
Yeah, like I want a character interaction game that just happens to have fighting games, because there's a few characters in there who, like, it would be kind of interesting to see like their perspective of like what's going on in the world. I could have you could craft a fairly interesting narrative game based upon like some of Shinji's classmates, and just living in a world where these giant monsters are constantly destroying your city. I mean, which I feel is something that hasn't really been done.
Right, I say even just the pitch of like go to school by day, fight monsters and mechs by night is already just a cool setting, you know?
It is.
Yeah. But again, I think the biggest problem with going to be a story-driven game like that is some of the super weird elements that happen in that series.
I mean, it sounds like it might be right for just like a game set in the universe. So Neon Genesis would be cool.
Yeah, I think it would be phenomenal, especially with some of the later characters. But give me that universe. Let's see. There was another one that I was like. Same thing with Darker Than Black. I think Darker Than Black is an absolutely ripe anime for this kind of thing. Just being a character going around and like hunting down these other people that have abilities, because that's essentially what the series is. You're going and hunting down these other people that are abusing their powers, and it would be a lot of fun, because it's the entire series takes place in a walled city, similar to like Attack on Titan. So you already have like the limits of what your game can be in.
Right. I mean,
it'd be just a very fun detective style, almost an Arkham style game, but with superpowers.
Uh-oh. My trigger's been tripped.
So I definitely think it would be an amazing thing, especially because you don't see all the other characters that have abilities in that series. There's so much more that could happen.
I really gotta watch that series.
You really do.
Yeah.
I think you would absolutely love it.
Okay. All right.
So, there's so many more, like any like the like Wrath of the Ninja series, like just running around being a ninja, but just that art style. I would actually love a Princess Mononoke game.
Oh, that would be so good.
Because it's a wonderful story, and it could be fairly heavy combat.
I mean, certainly it's Ghibli's best movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, it depends. I mean, I know a lot of people are familiar with the Americanized version with like Claire Danes and Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah, that's fine.
But again, I watch all my stuff subbed.
Of course. And the elitist over here.
No, I just always enjoy things in their, like, when I played Ghost of Tsushima, I didn't play it dubbed. I played the entire game subbed.
Madness,
just because
to me.
No, I always prefer to play things or watch things in their original intended form.
I understand. I get you.
So,
I don't know.
But I mean, for me, that's definitely some of the ones that would really trip my trigger.
Well,
So-
Alyssa, what about you?
Well, first,
Obviously,
I
I know you want a fruits basket gotcha. Of course, we already addressed that.
I want to read Nate's comment, which he said that he thinks that Black Lagoon would be a fantastic title if it were done in the style of Metal Gear Solid. Seriously, make this happen, please. LOL.
Talk about an anime game.
I don't know
Metal Gear
about
Solid.
Black Lagoon, but a Metal Gear Solid anime game, I think, would be a really interesting thing to create and to put out and to play.
Yeah, I don't know what Black Lagoon is either. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not
I think
familiar, but
I thought I did, but it's actually I'm thinking of Gurren Lagann, which I have also not watched. But I know people like that one.
But for me, I think you could make a really good Cowboy Bebop game if it was in the style of Mass Effect, but without the romance. Take that
Right.
out. But have some
Like-
side quests and get to travel to different places. And just be able to interact again with Spike and Faye and Ed and Ein.
Now they did
And,
have a PS2 Cowboy Bebop game.
Oh, they did?
Written by Watanabe himself, but it was supposed to be A, quite terrible, and B, it is only in Japan and on PS2. And I think it was, it's like a lost episode kind of thing of like, here's a random adventure, which I think would make for a great game. You just have to. There's no reason a Cowboy Bebop game shouldn't be like a big budget affair, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't be. We're going to shoehorn this random PS2 game together.
Well,
Because I mean, it writes itself. It's just it's a space western. You're a bounty hunter in a space western. Like that's a pretty good hook.
that's one of the great things about anime is you could write any of these games as a lost episode game.
True.
I mean, you could do a Dragon Ball Z game, but drop it like right in the middle of the Cell Saga as like a lost episode.
Alyssa, you got any other?
I did think, I don't know if either of you have watched Boogie Pop Phantom.
No.
It has a lot of Satoshi Kon vibes, and he was one of my favorite directors. He sadly passed away. He did not do the series, but I think it would be a really good if you put it like in a why did I just blank on the game's name? Is it Eternal Darkness that was on
Yeah.
GameCube?
Eternal Darkness,
Yes.
Sanity's Requiem.
If you did Boogie Pop Phantom in that style, I think it'd be really interesting. Just because it plays with your mind. Each episode focuses on a different spooky thing that's happening. It's a really, really good horror anime. It is a little bit aged if you want to check it out. But if you're a fan of Satoshi Kon, I think you would really like the anime, and I think it would actually translate really well into a game. And I also started to think Darling in the Franxx might be a good game because it has mechs, but then I remembered how they pilot the mechs is not safe for work. So I'm like, it does not need to happen.
Yeah.
That explains all the art I see for that series.
Yeah, I love that series, but it's definitely for
Yeah.
adults only.
They're not gonna do a Western remake of that one for Netflix. I'll tell you that.
No. If you're curious about it and you're listening, look it up, but just know it's not safe for work.
Yeah, you got any other ones pitches?
I don't at the moment,
Okay.
so
I didn't want to cut anyone else off again, but for me, I feel it's insane to me that there is not just a action role playing game that retells the events of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Like, it just seems so obvious to me to see adventures that they go on throughout that, that franchise. That it boggles the mind, especially with how popular it seems to always be. When it pops out on Netflix, it's usually in the top 10 and stuff. And just, what are you doing, guys? Same thing for.
Well, I mean, there is a Full Metal Alchemist game.
You're talking about the PS2 one is not good.
Yeah, I know, but I mean,
a high quality.
So you're saying we need a better one, okay?
Right, like a good one.
Because I was like,
okay,
there is.
Yeah, there. I mean, it was dated even when it came out. It felt like.
Yeah, but it was kind of poopy.
Yeah, but I think that deserves it for sure. I do think a Cowboy Bebop game would be a pretty obvious one. Yeah, I mean, I just want to see genres in art fighting games. I think you could really do a lot, and I guess maybe it's just such an industry at this point that they just keep knocking them out. I would say a Berserk game would be cool, but they kind of already. Every From Software game feels like a Berserk game, so I'm just saying I'm happy living in that world. If anybody was going to make a Berserk game, it would have to be From Software, Miyazaki. Because each one of their games.
Did he also mention that inspired him?
Oh yeah, there are, bosses will just straight up do. I think every one of his games has had a character do the famous Berserker armor sword hunched over pose that Guts does. I think every one of his games has a character doing this. So it's in the Elden Ring trailer, for God's sake. Miyazaki loves Berserk, and there are references and everything, and not even subtle ones. Like the Hunter's Mark in Bloodborne is so obviously the brain of sacrifice from Berserk. So I think you could make a pretty awesome game, very Lost Episode style, right? You could just have Guts getting caught in a crazy adventure against some apostles in the God Hand, and you could just make one hell of an action game out of it. So I think Berserk probably is actually the best answer, because you don't even. The story will never be finished now that Kentaro Miura passed away, but you could definitely do just a story just tucked away in there, in between arcs. It would make a lot of sense to me. But that's about all I have as well. It's hard to think about which animes work well, I guess. Harder than I thought.
Well, I mean, as time goes on, again, because anime is really starting to rise in the US, that as people find more and more of these kind of cool little series that could make a good game, because again, historically, anime has never really been as big over here as it is in Japan. So now that it is starting to grow here, they'd be like, oh, well, we can make a game. Let's do it, and we'll ship it both here and there.
I think 2020 was the first year where manga outsold comic book paperbacks. And so it's so it's definitely on the rise, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, between My Hero and Attack on Titan, it's definitely growing fast.
My Hero Academia fever is everywhere, it feels like.
Yeah.
All the time. So I think the future is bright for anime games. Hopefully brighter than a Demon Slayer fighting game. Just boggles the mind you wouldn't just make a better or a different genre. I guess people must love them. But I guess that's it for
hope.
It's about wraps up the Anime Outsider this week. If you guys want to have your questions or comments read on the show, we have Discord, Facebook. We always post the question on Twitter as well. Next week's topic is going to be community questions, which we do the first week of every month, and that is always a lot of fun. It is. It's one of my favorite times of the month.
Oh yes,
yes. CB, do you have any parting words before we get out of here this week?
I surprisingly haven't done much this week, so I really don't have any new things to talk about. Oh, actually, wait, I do.
Plot twist.
I finished. Yeah, I actually forgot about this. I started a new book series called Now I Know.
Okay.
Where it's just really random historic facts, like the time there was a time when the Soviets invaded Wisconsin.
Oh, see, I did not know that.
So it's just
Wolverines.
It's just a bunch of weird. Yeah, it's just a bunch of weird random facts that I really enjoy random weirdness. So I finished the first book.
Any listener can attest to that.
Yeah. So I mean, they're both on. I'm actually listening to both of them on Audible. The first one's actually called Now I Know, and then it's More.
Okay.
And then the second one is Now I Know the Soviets invaded Wisconsin. And it's just each book is just 99 facts, and like the backstory behind them. So they're really weird. They're fun.
All right. I think you sold me. What about you, Alyssa? You got anything you wanted to share before you get out of here?
I am still obsessed with Bo Burnham's newest special, Inside. If you haven't watched it, watch it. It's genius.
Say, a coworker at work will not
songs,
stop talking about Bo Burnham's Inside special.
I've got like 2 songs that are perpetually in my head. It's either... Now I can't think of the song. The first one. All Eyes on Me. That's it. Okay. And then White Woman's Instagram. The video for that is just... It's amazing. The guy is so talented. I am jealous. Don't know how he does it.
I've actually heard that from a couple people that series really makes you question his sanity.
Oh yeah, definitely. This was filmed, I believe, over a year during the pandemic, so it's showing a person slowly descending into depression and I wouldn't say madness, but just a not great mental state.
Okay.
See, for me, I already suffered through COVID. So for one thing, I'm not super hyped on COVID stories right now, which I think we're going to get a freaking onslaught of from Hollywood. But also, I don't really need to see a rich person suffer through it.
It's true. He is in a very tiny room the entire time. It doesn't look like a rich person's place.
Yeah.
And he does make fun of Jeff Bezos, so...
Pretty easy target, I would think. Let's sign the petition to keep him off Earth. I did like Bo Burnham in Promising Young Woman quite a bit.
He was great in that movie.
Yeah, he shocked me there for sure. Yeah, I mean, as for me, I just finished a book called Prince of Thorns. Apologies. It may be one of the darkest things I've ever read in my life. The main character is just completely irredeemable. Usually, you have an anti-hero character, and they have that little beating heart of gold or a little bit of sympathy. But you don't have any for this character. He is just... It's basically a story told from a villain's perspective, and they don't really give him any outs. He's just kind of a terrible person and does terrible things and, sacrifices people in his group if it gains him something. It was quite a good read. Might be one of my favorite books ever. Like, it's just so...
Who's the author?
Mark Lawrence. That's probably a good thing to share. Thank you, Alyssa.
I'm going to look that up after this.
It's really good. It's a very quick read. I love when chapters are short. But yeah, Prince of Thorns. It's something special. But anyway, thank you so much for listening. Gaming Outsider is produced by Nate Lucas, and all the music you hear is written and performed by Grant Henry of Stemage and Metroid Metal. You can find them at stemagemusic.com. You can be sure to email us if you have any questions or concerns. Our address is feedback at thegamingoutsider.com. Until next week, I'm Zach Parkerson with Chris Baronsmeyer and Alyssa White, and we are The Gaming Outsider. Remember, there's no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.